been basically pulled on people. And if somebody's got an explanation that means that I'm wrong, that's fine. Just show it to me so I can understand it. But it seems like a trick has been played on people. Pertaining to the size of objects, does anyone know of an example where if you take the same shape or same general shape of an object and it's made of the same material, but it's just bigger, that as you up the scale, as it gets bigger, it somehow affects things less? And I guess I'll give you more context so you understand the example.
Bob,
so let's say you have you have one bowling ball that is 10 pounds, and then another larger bowling ball that's 100 pounds, and you roll them both down the lane. Okay, which one is going to have more effect on a single pin if they're both going the same speed?
I don't know.
They're the same shape.
They're
the same material. They're the same shape, and they're going the same speed. It's just one's bigger and heavier than the other one.
The 100-pound one.
Okay. Does that make sense to you that the 100-pound one would have more effect on a single pin?
Yeah.
Okay. My wife, whenever we were talking about, we were talking about the moon landing. Okay, it's something that had been brought up on like this 24-hour live stream on Globebusters 2 or whatever, and the guy had mentioned the speed of the moon. It's spinning at like 10 miles per hour or something like that. Okay, and I had brought up this topic that whenever you watch the videos, you don't see the moon spinning under them at 10 miles per hour. And if you ever like put a treadmill up to 10 miles per hour, you can clearly see what kind of effect that has on a person if they were to jump up above it and try and land on it, or in the case of the moon landing, even trying to land that pathetic thing onto the moon at 10 miles per hour possibly would have shredded the thing.
See, the thing is,
okay.
The thing is, the astronauts. Hold on a second. The astronauts, when they're on the moon jumping, the Globers will say conservation of momentum. But however, when they're going to land on the moon, and they haven't even touched it yet, you can't say conservation of momentum at that point.
Right. But that's not exactly the argument that we got into was about the fact that she was under the impression that because the moon was so big that the amount of rotations it would take would be less than something smaller, and that somehow would make the 10 miles per hour less effective on a person. And I tried to explain to her that it doesn't matter how big you make the object, because 10 miles per hour is 10 miles per hour. And I think a trick has been played, and I think it has to do with the Earth too. A trick has been played on people, like using degrees and stuff like that, trying to make them think that because the Earth is so big and that it only makes a certain amount of turn in a certain amount of time, certain amount of rotation in a certain amount of time, that somehow changes or affects what effect it has on some other object, which isn't the case.
Magic,
we don't have any example anywhere on Earth, anywhere in our lives, where an object made of the same material, same shape, but just bigger, at any point has less effect than the smaller version. It only gets more effect. And if you have an Earth that's moving at 1,000 miles per hour, that just means it took more to make it spin at that speed than the smaller object would take. It doesn't mean that just because it looks like it's moving slower doesn't mean that it has less power in it. It would have to have more power than the smaller object because it's bigger, heavier. And the example I came up with today, and I think she started to get it now today, is I just took the treadmill example. If you have a treadmill that's a mile long and a mile wide, and you set it to 10 miles per hour, it will not change the effect it has on a person that tries to jump on it. It's still 10 miles per hour. and it'll still do the same thing as if it was not a mile long and a mile wide, but just a regular treadmill, right?
Yeah, I think you're onto something here, Bob, and we have called them out for this before, because when they talk about like flying south or north to south and how much speed you have to, or momentum you have to gain up to go the same speed as the Earth, we'll say it's 400 or 500 miles an hour, and then they'll say, well, that's only 1 arc radian per blah blah blah. You're like, what? Make it
right,
sound
but
really
I
tiny.
think it's a mental trick, because they get you to think about degrees, and you're like,
hold on a
yeah,
second, Bob.
it's only a few degrees,
Bob,
and
hold
if
on,
you
stop
stand
talking
there,
for a second, Bob.
what? Oh, okay.
Very important. Yeah, please. The very important thing here is what both of you guys are saying. This is the magic trick that they play. They try to make speed into revolution.
Yeah.
What you got? That's the trick here, Bob. So what you got to tell them here is the rim velocity. No matter how big, you can tell your wife this. No matter how big you make the ball, right? It doesn't matter. At the rim of that ball, 10 miles an hour is 10 miles an hour. It could take that ball 20 years to rotate to make one revolution. It doesn't matter. The rim velocity is the trick here, bro.
Yeah, and I went through some stuff with her on it. It's just today when I thought of doing, hey, I'll just do a bigger treadmill as an example. I think she started to get it, because if you just think about a bigger treadmill, it seems way more obvious. Yeah, a bigger treadmill moving 10 miles per hour is still moving 10 miles per hour. And if you try and step on it, it's still going to do the same thing.
Exactly.
But the trick seems to be with the degrees, they get you to imagine or think in your head, yes, if I stand there and watch the degrees go by, it seems slow. But what you're not considering then is the amount of power it would take to move something like the Earth at 1,000 miles per hour.
Yes, they do that with the Coriolis.
Whatever, it still has to be in there somewhere, and we still have to account for it when you aren't touching it and then do touch it.
Exactly. They do that exact thing with the Coriolis. They say, oh, wait a minute. What do you mean you won't feel it? Of course you won't feel it. It only goes 1 revolution a day. Yeah, but listen, dude, when you're on that rim, right, it's traveling at 1,000, 45, 39, whatever. It doesn't matter how big it is.
And it doesn't matter how slow it looks like it's moving.
They get away with that.
It doesn't matter how slow it looks like it's moving.
Exactly.
That won't affect the force or the energy or whatever that's inside of it. Just because it looks like it's moving slowly, like I use the example of a plane. You can look at a plane from far away and it looks like it's moving slowly. But if you were right in front of that plane in the air and it hit you, like, other than the fact you'd be dead, you would understand it wasn't moving slowly. So us perceiving a thing moving slowly is not the same as the force behind it being slow or weak.
Well, they get away with that because they talk about a vacuum of space that makes everything, copacetic and, frictionless and forceless. It's a big spell that they've weaved, but the big wrecking ball Earth moving against you, even if you jump up, would, you think probably be felt, especially if it's changing direction and has inertial forces to move this big wrecking ball of Earth that they talk about or whatever.
Right, and as far as that particular topic, they might have excuses, but I just wanted to bring out, like, there seems to be a trick logic or something that they've convinced people of, this relationship between smaller objects and big objects, that as you grow the size of the object, even if you keep the speed the same, somehow the object will become less effective on the things that it touches. And that's not a thing that happens, and we can't demonstrate that. Things that get big, if you get bigger and bigger, if you have a small car and you have a giant semi, and they're both going the exact same speed, the bigger one has more effect. That's how it works. And it seems like they've tricked people into this mindset that as a thing gets bigger, same speed somehow gets less effective in the bigger object.
But the conservation of momentum, but gravity, but reference frames, but angular velocity, these are like spells.
Exactly. These are magic words. Magic words. Yeah, they do that with the Coriolis all the time. They do it with the open-close. It's open, but it's closed. But sometimes it's open. So I guess, sometimes it's closed.
Just as a challenge, not specifically referencing Earth or anything, just as a challenge in general, if somebody, baller or flat earther or whatever, can demonstrate something of the same material and the same shape going the same speed, but a larger one and a smaller one, and somehow the larger one has less effect on things, please demonstrate that for us so that we can see that it can happen. But I don't think that it can. I don't think that I've ever had that happen in my entire life. I don't think it's something we experience.
Bob, you can't make a general statement because incoherent magnetism works like the way you're saying. The more of them you put, the less attractive. You understand what I'm saying? So have a look at incoherent. It doesn't work on everything.
Right. I didn't claim it was impossible. I just said if somebody has an example to demonstrate it for me so I can see it happening.
Yeah, but then that's even a false equivalent. You can't use incoherent magnetism in terms of what we're talking about with momentum velocity.
No, I'm just saying not to make a general statement like that. Because some things more act less. It's weird, but yeah.
No. I'm talking specifically about a physical object that is same material, same shape, and moving at the same speed. But because it's bigger, it has less effect on other objects. That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah, they can demonstrate that with math.
Yeah.
They'll
what?
talk about math, M-A-T-H, math.
Math.
It in math. They'll show you that the percentage that they work out that because they've done an experiment, and I don't, but they tested the ability of not even. But
I'm not catching what you're saying.
Cutting out a little bit.
Okay, never mind.
Well, the thing is, they get away with it because gravity is a constant that will always be there, 9.8 meters per second or whatever. But other forces that are smaller, stronger at smaller scales, like electromagnetism, at least the way we measure it, tend to dissipate over greater and greater mass or whatever. And so gravity is always waiting in the background with that constant, waiting to take over the moment the electromagnetic force, at least the way that it's measured, dissipates over great distance. So they always have this constant versus a force of electromagnetism, which tends to dissipate and almost disappear over great distances. So in a way, it kind of feels like it's a shell game where eventually gravity will need to be put in there at 9.8 or whatever their gravimetric constant is versus the changing electromagnetic force.
Yeah, nice word salad.
So gravity will always be waiting to take over the moment the electromagnetic force mathematically goes down to zero at greater and greater mass and greater size.
Yeah, it's still a word salad.
But the thing about the gravity constant that I don't get is for us to measure things at the large scale, we have to have a small scale representation. And at the small scales, electromagnetism takes over greatly. So at the small scale, all you could prove is electromagnetism, really, which would translate to the big scale anyway. So why are we keeping this gravity philosophically when at the small scale, the only thing that we can prove, electromagnetism would take over, and normally we just say electromagnetism? Why are we doing that?
Why are you adding yet more words?
We aren't. I'm not doing that at all.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like gravity is just a central plank of their philosophy. They're like, whatever you do, put gravity in there. That's it.
Yeah, it does seem something like that.
Completely meaningless.
Gravity is meaningless compared to electromagnetism.
No, whatever you said is meaningless. It's just
we have
word
fields
salad.
with electromagnetism. We have demonstrability with
it's just a bunch of
electromagnetism.
words put together.
Each demonstrate
they might sound
overall
interesting to
attraction
someone
and
who doesn't
repulsion
know what
with
they're talking about.
electromagnetism. So we're
It's just a
force.
word salad.
Okay, hold on.
Maybe
Okay,
we should
fine.
just go with electromagnetism.
But nobody
Okay,
understood
hold on,
what you
Ed.
said, Lemon.
Okay, Ed.
Yeah, what do you want, Travis?
Ed, how can you tell him that no one has understood what he said? Do you know what I know? Do you know what Bob knows? How about instead of saying that it's just word salad,
Repeat what
which is
Lemon
not
said.
an argument?
Repeat this argument.
Why don't you? No. You're the one that called it word salad. So why don't you demonstrate one of the things? Hold on, Ed.
Whenever Lemon speaks, and you ask anyone who pretends they agree with Lemon,
Don't be that guy, Ed. Come on.
Hold
arguments. They can't.
Hold on, Ed.
Nobody
Okay, listen.
can repeat Lemon's arguments because it's just
Great.
word salad, and you are
Great.
all pretending to agree because
Okay,
nobody
great.
understands.
Wait a minute. I didn't say that I agree, other than
Okay,
the
hold
gravity part.
Hold on.
Gravity is
So,
retarded.
Hold on, Bob. So, Ed, does that mean that you don't understand what Lemon said?
Nobody understands what Lemon said.
Okay,
Lemon.
Try to answer
Not
the
even
question.
Lemon can repeat what he said just now.
Okay, try to answer the question, Ed. Hold on. Do you understand anything that Lemon said?
Nobody understands what Lemon said.
Why can't a baller
I
answer a direct
understood every
question?
word, and I
I
could
am
repeat it
answering.
verbatim, and he's right about 99% of it.
Repeat
you,
what
Jimbo.
Lemon said then, Jimbo. Repeat his argument.
You don't have
The
to do what you
argument
say.
is
Just
basically that
because you can't.
electromagnetism is
You
well,
can't.
never mind if you're just going to
doesn't
talk.
matter if you can or not.
You
Doesn't
can,
need to.
you can repeat a few
Freeze
buzzwords.
isn't going to allow you to respond, so you're going to have to mute him temporarily. Jimbo,
It's
what
not
were you
his
saying?
responsibility
Well, then
to
make the argument.
write down every word that somebody else says.
This is
To
sort of
agree with them or
obstruct.
not agree
It's
with
time
them.
that we step
First
past
you-
his obstruction so
but
that
you
we can
can't-
break
but you
real
can't-
ground.
I say
and,
that we get
finally
this
do
guy out of
something
here. He's
significant.
acting like
Jimbo,
a
what were you
lunatic or
saying?
something. Ridiculous.
Repeat his argument.
Jimbo was saying something. I'm just going to mute Freeze. Jimbo, what were you saying?
Well, I was trying to say that you're right, basically, that these small-scale electromagnet tests and attractions, etc., far exceed the power by millions of times of so-called, gravity and stuff, and they're repeatable on a larger scale too. It's a lot of our environment is electromagnetic waves, light, sound. I don't care. It's about waves, wave energy, etc., and stuff. Magnetism, diamagnetism, all kinds of wave and electromagnetic wave phenomena, and so-called acceleration at 9.8 meters per second squared, always being exact, is bullshit. Drop a golf ball in a ping pong ball. You stand under the golf balls, I'll stand under ping pong balls. Thank you.
Thank you. All I was saying was that
there's a difference in weight.
all I
Wow.
was saying, Ed, was that we can only prove at the small scale that electromagnetism is the main force. So we can't even prove that gravity is doing anything at the small scale. So why would we go with gravity at the large scale?
Right. So, do you have any evidence for that claim?
The electromagnetic force is magnitude stronger at the small scales.
Do you think
Yeah,
Newtonian gravity works at the quantum scale?
I asked for evidence.
Ed, do you think Newtonian gravity works? Newton's law of gravity works at the quantum scale?
I don't think asking me a question is showing evidence. So, can you show your evidence for that claim?
So you think it does work? All right, hold on.
That's not what I said. I asked for evidence.
Of
There's a
what?
Nobel Prize waiting for whoever
Evidence of what?
with that.
What Lemon said?
The unifying theory, the grand unifying theory.
You were right, Essie. I was wrong. What the fuck? I had to try.
Isn't that what they're searching for? That's the mother of all.
They ain't never gonna
There's-
find it though, because
Never.
Lemon says, but you're
Never.
not providing anything.
what do you want, Ed?
Evidence
I
for what
think it's easy to see who's not providing anything here.
That magnetism stronger than gravity? Exactly
find
what
it,
are you
Len?
looking for?
Can you find it?
Exactly what are you that magnetism stronger than gravity?
No, I was asking Lemon if he could find the evidence for his claims.
Their own model says it's the weakest force, no? Gravity? I don't see what the argument is here.
It absolutely falls apart at the quantum level,
There is no argument because there's no evidence.
which the quantum level happens all around you nonstop all day.
Lemon, did you go away?
Hi. Well, if nobody else has a topic to talk about, I do have something else that has nothing to do with flat Earth, really. Do you guys think that it's like mature and reasonable and very adult-like to just quit something that you agreed to participate in simply because you're doing poorly at it, like as in you're losing a game? You agree to play a game, you agree to play the game by the rules, and then you quit like very quickly because you're not doing great?
Well, I mean, it happens all the time in chess. You just tip your king over because you can see that you've lost. You know what I'm saying?
So chess, I would say, is possibly a special case because there technically would only be a certain number of moves that you can possibly make on a chessboard because of its limited nature, right? Like, I mean, there's really only it's a very high number, but there's technically only a limited number of combinations that could take place on a chessboard, right?
You should stick it out like in a sports game, though. Like, let's say you're getting beaten very badly in a sports game. You wouldn't just walk off the court. You would at least see it through, yeah. That
Right.
chess might
So,
be
like,
a special
Or
exception. You're right.
at the very least, if your whole team and your coach and everything, that they're all in agreement, like, at least your team, even if your coach wasn't, but if your whole team was like, okay, listen, it's the first quarter, they're up 172 points. Let's just call this game. Like, at least your whole team is then like, yes, let's call this game. But if one person decided to just walk off the field, do we all agree that that's like a kind of a cruddy thing to do? And I'm not going to call that person like morally bankrupt, but it's not necessarily what you would consider a good person, right?
That'd be some bad sportsmanship for sure.
Okay, that's what I would say. I would say that like just quitting, even at the level, and I like this is important, I guess, for what I'm getting at. Even at the high school level or the middle school level or the elementary school level, if a kid was losing at a basketball game, their team was losing, they chuck the ball into the stands and walk off, cursing. Okay, that's not what we would consider like good behavior that we should just allow to continue in that child for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah, he'd probably be benched for a couple games or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's not good behavior. Okay. Absolutely, yeah.
Because I was on Reddit. I play video games online, and there's one game where I play online. I was in the Reddit forum, and people were like, they were actually making the argument that in games that weren't ranked, it's okay that in this game you can get like you can lose all your health and then you're knocked down, but as long as you're in that down state, you can still be revived. Okay, and then even if you get killed in that state, you can still be brought back if they get to a certain point on the map or whatever. Okay, so you're in the game, you can be in the game for a while even if you get knocked down right away. And there were people making the argument that it's okay because it's not ranked. It's okay that as soon as you get knocked down, to just quit and leave your other teammates there to basically either finish the game or they can quit themselves, just because you basically got knocked down right away.
A good player.
I assume you're talking about ranked.
I assume you're talking about like Call of Duty or Fortnite or something.
It's similar to that. It's called Apex Legends, but it's a similar concept. Okay.
Yeah, they should stick it out because if they just quit, then if your team progresses to the next point and everyone gets revived, you're not there to progress with
exactly. Them. That's what I would say. Is like you basically just especially like when it's their fault that they got knocked down, like they run in without their team or whatever. But their argument seems to be that because it's not ranked, specifically because it's not a ranked game, then suddenly it doesn't matter at all if somebody does this. And I tried to explain to them, it's like, but that's not how we as a society treat people, or we hold people to higher standards than that. At high school, middle school, elementary school, if a child is losing a game and they chuck the ball, curse and yell and run off the field, we don't accept that as okay. We teach the child that that's not okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
they
because
would,
it's
like
not
I said,
ranked doesn't make it okay.
yeah, it's not okay.
Man, well, I'm glad that like somebody, like I'm not the only person, because it seemed like there was that I wasn't completely alone in the Reddit forum, but it seems like there's a lot of people that are under the impression that because a thing isn't ranked, it's okay to just like chuck the team, forget the team, get out of there. It doesn't matter. It's just like, you're an awful person. Like, you're going to raise awful children if you teach them that.
Yeah, I mean, why are you even playing then? Like, if you just go out until you die and then you're not going to be there for your team, it's a team game, I suspect. So, like, you're just letting your
Right.
whole team down.
Like, you're not even, like, you're not doing well yourself, and then on top of that, you're also ruining other people's time. You're a jerk, really.
Like, if we were in a
But see,
2-on-2, if we were in a 2-on-2 flat Earth debate, me and you, and I felt like we were getting crushed early on, and I just fucking left. I was like, "Fuck this,
Oh
I'm
my
done. We're
goodness.
losing," and then I just left. That kind of sucks for you because I might have some good points to bring. I might be of use later to you, but now I'm not there to
Right.
even help.
I would be real unhappy about that.
Yeah,
Like, I'd be like, man, I don't want to basically ever rely on this person.
yeah. The thing with the video games is people get knocked down and they're out for the game. You know, they might be out for the game, so like, fuck it, I'll just go rejoin another game where I'm alive again.
Right. But see, like, the argument is based around, well, should that kind of behavior be punished? And like, I'm like, yes, absolutely. If somebody jumps into, 1, 2, 3 games and it's just like they run in, die, back out, even though they have plenty of opportunity to be revived, be brought back, whatever, and they're just popping in and out of games, dying and jumping into new games, yes, that should be punished harshly. Like, first
I'm assuming
time they
you
do
start.
10-minute
Yeah,
ban.
I'm assuming
You
you
know?
start with like an X number of players on each team, so it's even.
Yeah, it's 3 players per squad. And basically you can get knocked down and you're crawling around, you can still be picked up then, okay? And then even if they kill you like that and you're totally gone, you leave this tag behind, you can grab it and get to a respawn point and bring the person back. And they'll get dropped, they'll be crawling around, they'll just disconnect. They quit.
Well, they got to do something with this atmospheric magnification thing. It's really. I mean, some of them agree to it, some of them don't. Even if we did have proof of it, like Travis claims to have, they'll say it's only happening once in a while, and in reality, it could be happening all the time. That's why we need to get above the whole atmosphere with a high altitude balloon, take a picture of the sun with a solar filter on, take a picture of the sun with the same camera, same settings on the ground before it goes off or when it comes back down. And that way we can show them, look, the atmosphere is clearly magnifying shit all the time.
I think it might be folly thinking that you're going to get a thing that's like you. I think it was you that said in your final thoughts something that they can't deny anymore. Like, I mean, I think that even if it's clearly a thing that we show them, I think they would continue to deny it. I don't think that they can, if they're going to keep up whatever it is their life is, I don't think they can, like, just let it go. They can't just admit to that. And think of the responsibility someone has to accept if they do admit that. Think of the responsibility they then have to, like, everybody that they talk to and everybody that they have, like, every way that they've treated us on here and things they've said to us on here. And they keep stacking on more and more of that responsibility the further and further they go. And so it's going to possibly just get harder and harder for them because all the stuff they say to us, up until that point, that they would have to be like, yeah, wow, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's never been done with a high altitude balloon that I've seen before with a solar filter, catching the sun at its peak and then taking a picture when it's down. If that happened, that'd be, something that couldn't be denied. They can even repeat it themselves if they wanted to. Look, the sun's not the same size when we get up above all the atmosphere. It's being magnified. Because when I see these high altitude balloons go up and you look at the sun in them, It looks crazy. It looks crazy. Something's definitely going on.
Does it? I don't know if I've noticed. Of course, I don't know that I've spent a lot of time watching them either. But what happens? What's the effect
sun
you
looks
see?
fucking. The sun looks fucking tiny. It
Oh,
looks tiny.
huh. Well, I
Yeah,
guess
you've
that
never
lines
noticed
up
that?
like.
You've never noticed that before, where the sun looks tiny in all those high altitude balloons?
I'm not. I may have noticed it and just didn't like spend time thinking about it, but not that I can specifically recall. I don't think I ever. I don't think I recall ever like being like, man, that looks small.
I noticed it when Brandon was going over the high altitude balloon footage with whoever, Sensible, Mr. Sensible. I noticed it in that one. The sun looked very small. And you could even see someone also posted a 24-hour sun photo of Antarctica, the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And during that video, you could literally see the sun getting bigger and smaller just throughout the course that it took.
Huh. I saw
They'll say it's glare. They'll say it's glare. That's why you need to have a solar filter on it so we can get the real size of it. But
yeah, they'll say all kinds of things though. They'll possibly say whatever they need to say.
I feel like if we had that high altitude balloon footage though, with a solar filter on the camera, that'd be something that they couldn't just skate past anymore. They'd have to accept that yes, the atmosphere is magnifying things. Because according to them, the sun should get bigger or stay the same size. Probably stay the same size, since you're only getting a fraction closer to it. It wouldn't even be noticeable if it got bigger. So it should stay the same size. If it got smaller, that'd be a huge problem for them. That they couldn't. There'd be no way to explain that after that.
They claim that it does stay the same size, right? That it's like it never ever changes the whole day. That's what they claim, right?
Yeah, they might say throughout the year it changes a very minuscule amount, tiny amount. Because we do get, in their model, we do get farther from the sun at some point. But over the course of a day, yes, they'll say it's not changing at all. When you put the solar filter on it, but when you don't have the solar filter on, it's obvious that it's changing size.
No, that just means the glare is changing.
The glare, yes, we know.
Yeah.
The glare,
so
yeah.
The size of the sun is not changing at all.
What if it got smaller when we went up, Ed? Would that prove something to you or no?
Smaller as you went up?
Yeah, what if we got above the atmosphere, say 130,000, 120,000 feet, and we got a solar filter on the camera and the sun got smaller? What would you think?
It wouldn't.
Yeah, what if it did though? Let's just hypothetically, what if it did? Time to reevaluate the model, or
no, time to reevaluate which camera you're using and check all that stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna take the same picture with the camera, same setting, same camera. We're gonna take a picture of the sun before we take off, and then we're gonna get one all the way up. And if it gets smaller, then what?
Well, the size should barely change at all, so that's not gonna happen.
What if it gets smaller though? What would you think?
I don't know. I've never seen that before, so I would.
I know this is a hypothetically speaking.
Yeah,
you know?
I understand, but I haven't encountered that scenario, so
none of us have. This is a hypothetical. None of us have.
Right. So
what would you think?
Yeah, but isn't that weird? Like asking, what would you do if you met an alien?
It's a little bit weird.
I can think of anything, but it's not real.
Kind of like if unicorns did exist, how would your life be different? Well, I mean, maybe I would be a unicorn rancher instead of a tax preparer. I don't know. Like, I could come up with things that might happen, but
yeah.
It's not the case, so I don't know for sure how I would react or how my life would be different. So I can see where he's coming from on how it's a little bit strange to be like, what if that did happen?
It would be time to reevaluate the model, no question. Assuming that everything was done
What
legit.
exactly was it that you were asking? What if what happened?
If we go up with a camera and we take a picture of the sun with a solar filter on it when it was at its peak, 120,000 feet up, and then before it left, or when it comes down, we take another picture of the sun, same camera, same settings, same solar filter. If the size of the sun changed or got smaller, then what? You know? It would definitely be time to reevaluate the model of how the sky works. No question.
Or at least investigate, like at least look into it, because that would be like super strange if your claim is that the sun is really big and far away. That shouldn't be happening, right?
That shouldn't happen. Yeah, it would stay the same size or get bigger. It wouldn't get smaller at all. There would be no. If everything's working the way they say it works, the sun would not get smaller at all for any reason. That's why I don't know why no one has done this yet. Next high altitude that balloon that goes up, they need to have a solar filter on the camera and take a picture of the sun. And then they need to take a picture of the same sun with the same camera, same settings, everything, right when it gets down or before it goes up. Because that needs to be investigated. You know, if it turns out it does stay the same size, fine. We can move on to something else. But like that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
We keep sending high altitude balloons up to look at the horizon. That's not doing shit for us. Really not doing anything for us. Just looking at the horizon with a high altitude.
I haven't looked into it. I don't know how expensive high altitude balloons are. Like that would be kind of a fun experiment just to do with the kids. Like send up a camera, and I wonder how much they cost.
Probably like a G, $1,500.
Oh, really? You think so?
Yeah.
I guess maybe they. I guess it.
Maybe
There's probably a certain
less.
group of people that don't want it to be very something you can get to easily. That would make sense.
That's not out of reach, though. I mean, we've sent up a bunch of balloons. The Flat Earth community, along with the Globe Earth community. Between the Globers and the Flat Earthers, we've sent up a lot of balloons. So it's not like it's not out of reach of our capability.
Hey, we'll use the same camera and settings that Mr. Sensible used for Mage 2 with a filter.
Yeah, whatever. As long as it's the same camera and the same settings from the ground photo and the high altitude photo, you're good. It doesn't matter which camera it is. It could be anything. As long as it's all the same settings, same solar filter, everything. That needs to happen. Next person that sends up a high altitude balloon should be doing this unless they have something better, which I don't know what could be better at this point because we've already went up and looked. We don't need to look at the horizon again. That's not going to do anything for us. Whether it comes back flat or curved is totally irrelevant at this point. We've already explained away curvature with Brandon's thing that he did 2 weekends ago. Even if it comes back with curvature, it doesn't mean anything. That would happen on a flat plane.
Yeah, I think I would be pretty interested to see that, to see if there's a difference when it gets up there. And I wonder if it stay like, so a high altitude, we don't know what's up there. So like, if it can only go so high, what if it's not getting beyond whatever it is that would be causing the magnification anyway?
There could be something above the 120,000 foot mark magnifying it. Absolutely.
So like,
but
even
we're
if it
saying the
doesn't change size, what does that mean?
We're saying the atmosphere. It doesn't mean anything for us, but we're saying that the atmosphere is causing things to get magnified. So if we send it up and the sun gets smaller, then that's proof that the atmosphere is magnifying.
Specifically the atmosphere, yeah. Okay.
If nothing happens, it doesn't hurt us. Like it's fine, whatever. We're back to square one. But if we send it up and it oh look, the sun did get smaller by a pixel or two or whatever, or a couple pixels, and we got something. Like you said, it could be something above that mark, above that 120,000 foot mark that's magnifying it. And if that's the case, then we'll never know.
If we're looking at like the atmosphere specifically, that would be okay because then it's like it would just be then that thing is affecting it, and then also the atmosphere is affecting it, or the atmosphere isn't affecting it at all. So you're right in saying that it would give us something, some sort of information. It would be useful.
I mean, this could only hurt them. It doesn't hurt us at all. If the sun stays the same size and we go up and we wasted the time on doing it or whatever, then fine. We learned something. Something they already claim to know, but they don't because this has never been done. So they claim to know a lot of shit that's never been done. I've noticed that. Like they'll say helium. They'll say helium in a tank with if you got just helium in a tank, they'll say there'll be a higher pressure gradient at the bottom of the tank than the top of the tank. But it's never been shown that that's actually the case. They just say it is.
Dude, they think that there's a robot on Mars that NASA can control and move around. Okay?
Oh, they're definitely. Didn't you see
they're deep into things that they can't confirm. Okay.
Bro, didn't you see the squirrel and the duck from Mars?
I didn't.
Up there. Yeah, they got a little duck and a squirrel up there, a little ground rodent or whatever.
I've seen the rodent. Yeah, and it's just like it just happens to be looks exactly like one of the rodents that are in like Greenland or something.
Yeah, the thing is, the guy in charge of editing those pictures would have missed that because that ground squirrel is camoed to blend in with the environment, so it's not a surprise that he would have missed that.
Right. Did you hear about the seashells? A guy wrote a book about the fossilized shell that he saw on Mars and how there must have been a time period when Mars had an ocean on it, just like the Earth's, because their seashells and the fossils are just like the ones found on Earth.
There was also a big thing with mushrooms. Did you hear about that one?
No.
The mushrooms on Mars? Yeah, there's.
Did you guys?
Go ahead.
I'll let you finish. Yeah, I'll let you finish.
No, there was the rover goes over the same spot a couple times, and one time there's nothing there, and then the next time there's mushrooms growing there, and you like see the progression of the mushrooms growing.
I think I might have read about that one or seen that one.
Yeah, I think he won a court case on it. I'm not sure.
But there was. I think this is something that my wife and I saw in a video or read or something. Maybe it was on a Jeranism show. I'm not sure, but anyway, I think it was these like couple of guys or whatever that they supposedly sent some sort of a signal or something to Mars, and it came back faster than what they expected, and their conclusion had something to do with them like getting the signal through space-time or teleporting, some bullcrap off the wall answer when it's like it's staring you right in the face. You got the signal back faster because they're just right over there. Like it's like their conclusion that because they got the signal back way faster than they expected had all this other crap in their conclusion. It's just like, or they're just right over there on Earth, not however far away they claim to be. Let me see if I can find it. It was out there. Let's see here.
Yeah, you could do it for yourself if you wanted.
NASA calls the mushrooms blueberries.
I don't know.
Instead of mushrooms. Oh, sorry.
Are we talking? What? Oh, you're talking about. I've seen those pictures, and I don't know. I don't have no opinion on that one. But you can show that the moon is a real thing, and is 1.25 light seconds away. Because you can ham radio guys do it all the time. They call it EME, Earth, Moon, or moon bounce.
So NASA show you agree that the atmosphere can magnify things, right? That's your stance.
Yeah, under certain circumstances. I thought we were done with that.
No, we're not done with that. Of course not.
Well, it doesn't explain. It doesn't explain why.
Go ahead.
It doesn't explain why boats disappear from the bottom up, but you can magnify things. Yeah.
Yeah, but you think this is only happening once in a while, though, and not
Yeah.
always. And
Rare
what makes
situations.
here's my question I'd like to pose to you. How do you know that it's not always happening, and that we're just not noticing it happening when it changes a little bit?
And how does this explain boats going over the horizon?
No. Just answer my question.
I don't know. I don't see where you're going on this with this argument. What are you trying to?
You
trap
don't need
me
to know
into?
where I'm going. You don't need
Yes,
to
I
know
do.
where I'm going. Just
I'm not going to let you trap me into something. Because
you don't know if it.
Flirts are famous for going off on this wild tangent when you say something. But yeah, you can magnify. I mean, it's been known It's been known since the 1700s.
So you don't know if that's always happening, and we're just not noticing it when it varies a little bit.
Well, it's difficult to tell until you have like a camera and pointing at a point. I mean, you have these traffic cams, or what do they call them? You have the camera just pointing at a location and taking pictures day after day. That's something new. You got a camera set up that are taking pictures every couple of seconds forever, and that's.
Bro, you're talking about a traffic cam. They're looking like 100 yards or something.
A traffic cam or a webcam or some sort of thing.
Yeah, you need something looking, miles away at least.
Have you done that experiment?
It doesn't matter. You've already agreed that it happens. Now the only question is it always happening and we're only noticing it?
Like I said, how would you do that experiment?
When it varies? How would you know? That's my question to you. How would we know if it's always
here's
happening?
The experiment to do. Here's the experiment to do. Go get a couple thousand cameras, put them all over the world on different shores, and find out.
Yes, but how would we know? How would we know?
That's how you would know
if it's happened. No, just
so who did it?
Who
did your experiment?
No one's done the experiment because it's a really stupid experiment. No one cares.
Hold on.
Nobody did it, so no one knows, right?
Hold on. How would we know?
Do the experiment. You can't say. You can't. Wait a minute. You can't say because we don't know. Therefore, it is. You have to prove when you say something.
No, I'm saying we don't know. Therefore, it isn't. If you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
How would we know if it's always happening?
Right.
If it's how would we know?
You can't say it's always happening.
I'm asking you a question. Shut up for a second. How would we know if it's always happening, but we only notice it when it varies? How would we be able to tell if it's always happening or not?
I told you how. Do the experiment. Go buy thousands of cameras.
I don't see how your experiment shows us that if it's always happening or it's only happening sometimes.
Well, you could find out, couldn't you?
No, how?
That's what he's asking you. How?
You
how does that experiment do that?
Because you have the same experiment. You'll find out if it's the same boring shot or if you can actually see something different, if something changes. Set it up, do it, just film it.
We can see it. We've known since the 1700s. We already know it happens.
But you're asking if it happens all the time. The answer is do the experiment.
You would only notice it when it varies, though.
Exactly. So do the experiment. I don't know the answer to your question.
Wait.
I don't think it happens because people don't notice it. If you want to do the experiment, and you can't say, hey, it might happen, therefore it is happening.
How does your experiment show us that it's always happening?
What's he saying then? What's he trying to prove?
How would your experiment show if it's always happening or not when we can only see it when it varies?
Exactly. We can only see when it varies. So how often does it vary?
So how does your experiment show us that if it's always happening or not?
Because you don't understand this, do you? It's called science. You actually have, if you make a claim, you have to back it up. You're saying that it happens all the time. So prove it.
He's not making a claim. He's asking you to explain how your experiment would establish the thing that you're claiming it would establish.
I'm not claiming
sounds like it wouldn't establish that.
I'm not claiming
shit. Telling us to go outside and check the wind direction, and that somehow proves where Mars is. Like your experiment is not establishing the thing you're claiming.
It's not my experiment, sir. He's making the claim.
You
do the
told
experiment.
us to set cameras up.
He's not making a claim. He's asking you about your experiment.
I don't have an experiment.
You just told us to set cameras up.
That's for your fucking claim. That's for your claim to see how rare or how common or how rare this magnification effect is.
God, dude, I don't think I can go on with you.
Well, because you don't.
Yeah, that's just the same as telling him to go
because he's
outside and
not
check the wind
following your
direction to
script,
establish
Jeremy.
how often the magnification effect
No,
takes
He
place.
doesn't go
Hold on a
through
second,
the
hold on a
script.
It's the exact same thing.
What sort of shit
You're
are
just
you?
telling him to go
are
do
you smoking
something, and you're calling it an experiment.
Okay, listen.
That's
Listen.
retarded.
Let me put it to
I
you
don't
like
know,
this.
dishonest. I don't know what you're doing.
It's not dishonest. If you want to find out if
Seems
this
like
happens
it.
all the time, if you want to find out if this happens all the time, you have to prove it happens all the time. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
One
Here
of the
we
ways
go.
that I'm suggesting you to prove this
No.
is to get
You
a few thousand cameras and point
That's
them.
not accurate. If you want to prove to someone else
Hold on, Bob.
that it happens
Bob,
all
hold
the
on.
time, then
No,
you
no,
have to show proof.
Hold on. We got
What?
our 3,000 camera. Hold on a second.
You don't have to
We got
show
our
proof to
3,000
believe
cameras
something.
up.
Well, wait a minute.
Hold
This
on a
isn't
second.
this is called science. This isn't belief. This is the
Okay,
difference
hold
between you and me.
Science
You can
Hold on a
believe whatever
second,
you
guys.
want.
You don't understand
Prove
that,
it.
then you don't know what science is, and you don't know what belief is.
Hold
One or
on
the
a
other.
second, guys. Hold
Prove
on a
it.
second, guys.
I
Paid
don't
NASA
science
show.
right
I
there.
don't care
Prove
if you
it.
think it or not.
Then
I
that's
only need
belief.
to prove it if I'm trying to
You're not a
convince you. I'm not
scientist.
trying to convince you.
Paid
You're not a
NASA show.
scientist.
We got our
It's
3,000
fine.
cameras up. Hold
If you
on.
don't-
Hold
We
on,
got
Jeremy.
our
I'm talking Jeremy. I'm talking with the real Bob Dole, who obviously is a believer and not a scientist.
3,000 cameras out, right? We see
Yeah,
that
those
magnification
aren't two
happening
different
once. Guys, we got our 3,000 cameras out. We see that sometimes shit's being magnified. How would that tell us if it's always happening or not?
Well, how often? You mean
It won't.
Yes, it will.
I know it won't, but
No, it won't.
how?
Why won't it?
How
Well,
does it tell? How?
Does it vary or just stay the same?
What would the cameras capture?
That's a good question. What
Being
would they capture?
magnified once they've
What's your
captured things
experiment
being
that you
magnified.
have designed?
It's not my
So tell us
experiment.
what it would capture.
It's your experiment. You're
Okay,
claiming
see,
you're
he's
claiming
not
that the
actually suggesting anything
you're
intelligent. He's
you're
talking-
claiming that the magnification
His
exists.
experiment wouldn't show anything, and either he knows that and he's just trying to waste time, or he doesn't know that and he's a retard. Okay?
No, you're not a
that's what-
scientist. You don't think like a scientist. Here's
I'm
what
not
you do.
concerned about your opinion on scientism.
It's not science-ism, sir. It's science.
Oh, like
There's a
I
difference.
said, scientism. I don't care about your
Nope.
opinion on
You said
science.
science-ism. That's different, sir.
No, I said scientism.
It's not a belief.
I said it
It's not
all
a
time.
belief. Proof.
Like I said,
Science-
I don't care about your opinion about scientism.
It's not opinion, sir. Opinion is
I don't
belief.
care
You're a
about your
believer.
opinion on scientism.
You don't know what science is, sir.
Paid
I don't care
NASA show.
about
We
your
got our
opinion on
camera.
You
scientism.
should. Since you're
I
arguing
don't.
science,
I don't.
how can you argue science if you don't care about it? I understand it. I understand
not
about
care.
your belief system. You're a
I don't
flat Earth
care
believer.
about
You need no proof.
science.
You just believe it. So unfortunately,
not
people
care
need.
On
Yeah,
science.
Paid NASA show. Paid NASA show. We got our cameras
Okay.
out there. We're noticing
That's
that
right.
sometimes things get magnified. Sometimes I don't know. Once a month.
Okay.
Once a month. It's varying. Yeah. So how would we know
Okay.
if that's
12
how would
times
we
a year.
how would we be able to tell if things are always being magnified, but we're only noticing it when the magnification varies a little bit?
What?
How would we be able to tell if things are always being magnified, but we're only noticing the magnification when it varies a little bit?
Okay. That's called optics, and you should probably study it before you say something like that.
What?
I can't explain to you optics.
Yeah.
What do you mean? How does it vary? You have to. Is there a baseline? I mean, it's called optics.
This guy's an
How
idiot
far-
or ignorant or both.
No.
I would
you
recommend that we mute him and move on.
Yeah, you don't know shit, Bob Dole. Have you met Bob Dole recently? He's kind of sort of not doing well.
Okay, I'm saying that things are always being
Yeah, I
magnified,
muted
but
him.
we
I'm
only
not gonna-
notice it.
Waste my time on him.
Of course not.
Don't even waste.
Because
your time. Well, we already established this guy doesn't even know.
He's
what
a
fucking
true
talking
believer.
about.
No,
he
he
restarts
brought
the
up an
program.
experiment
you
that
want an
he
experiment.
just
You want to know when it
apparently came
varies.
up with, and then
You wanna know-
he's
no, it's your
telling you to
experiment. You
explain
want-
his experiment because it's your claim.
It's your
The
claim.
guy's like mentally retarded or a liar or both. I don't know.
Yeah, Mr. Doles, keep spouting. Come on. You don't understand science, sir.
We killed this guy last week and after.
You didn't kill me last week. What you did
We
is
killed you, bro. You're a zombie.
You kicked me out once I asked you what to define your terms. You defined everything else, but you didn't define what definitely measured was.
There was like a 20-minute period last week where we absolutely fucking demolished you.
Yeah, no, what happened
Remember?
is Kiwi won a game of pigeon chess.
There was something, I don't remember when it was, but I do remember him being on here, and people were someone had pointed out basically what his name was, Paid NASA Show.
Yeah, that's called a joke, sir. You don't get it? You called yourself
It might
Bob
have
Dole. I
been
bet you're not him. I bet you're not Bob Dole either, huh?
He doesn't act like somebody who's trying to find like actual accurate answers, wants to know things, wants to know what reality is. He acts like someone who is here to just basically cause problems and be, an idiot.
No, I'm here to show you that you guys are morons, basically. You don't know. I've given you the experiment to do.
Thank you for your service.
Nice.
You've failed. You can leave.
Yeah, so we talked about that, and I mean, you can't even put 3 sticks in the ground to do anything. Now I'm telling Jeremy how to prove the magnification.
You can't even understand the question I'm asking you. You just reset the program over again. You don't even understand what I'm saying to you.
I understand what you're saying to me.
No,
you're saying,
don't.
What you're saying is, I don't want to do any experiments that might disprove my little stream of the.
We're saying how does the experiment show if the magnification is always happening, but we're only seeing it when it varies a little?
What do you mean? Okay, so the magnification is always happening.
How would your experiment tell us?
Why would that change? Wait a minute. So the magnification is always happening. What are you trying to figure out?
We're trying to figure out if the magnification is always there, but we only notice it when it varies a little, or if it's only magnifying things once in a while.
If the baseline is magnified. If the steady state is magnified.
Relative to what?
To actual size. Yeah.
What do you mean actual size?
Well, I mean, I guess we'd have to have some kind of baseline that we would say, this is how it should be at this position. This is how it looks at this position. So there could be 2 baselines, kind of, right?
There you go. You'll understand. You should talk to Bob Dole about science now. Those aren't assumptions. You don't know. Assumptions. I love you guys and your stupid assumptions.
You guys are the ones that assume the crazy shit.
Like what?
That we live on a
giant spinning
ball?
Earth curve. Yeah.
That's not an assumption. That's proven more than once.
I could go off with all day with your assumptions.
No. The assumption that we live on a space pizza is the crazy one.
No one thinks we live on a space pizza.
Well, then what is the model then, please?
You got to have something to hold on to, don't you?
What is the model?
What do you need a model for? What do you need a model for?
That's how science works. You come up with
a good question. What do you need a model for?
Well, you don't understand what a model is then.
Comfort. It's their comfort blanket.
No. Come on then. Okay. I mean, come on. How many proofs do you need I've given you an experiment to do, and you guys refuse to do it. How about if you get on an airplane? Experiment. You put a stick in the ground, and you have 3 sticks on the same latitude, on the same longitude line, and you measure the shadows. It's best to do it at the equinox when it's over the equator. We all agree on that.
The assumption that something can push against itself,
not an assumption.
Itself through space. That's an assumption.
Yeah, so that's not an assumption. That's Newton's. That's a law of motion.
Newton's assumption. He just named it a law.
You realize
can push against itself and propel itself through the emptiness of nothing.
You can do that.
Newton thought that was ridiculous.
Sure.
Get a chair. Get a chair.
Newton's laws of motions are not compatible with gravity, right?
They're completely compatible with gravity. Thank you.
You know gravity is a pseudo force, right?
Gravity is an apparent force. Yes. Pseudo force, same thing.
Pseudo force, yeah. So
a pseudo force can be very real. Go take your car, turn it, and go around the roundabout or in a sharp corner. That force you feel on the outside, that's a pseudo force. Don't now tell me it's not real.
So we both agree that gravity is a pseudo force, and so now you'd have to realize that Newton's laws of motions are not compatible with pseudo forces, right? You know that or no? I expect you don't, because you didn't even know about angular and linear conservation momentum, so I don't even know why I'm
momentum is momentum, depending on your frame of reference, by the way, on that one. Thank you.
Yeah. So do you realize that Newton's laws of motion aren't compatible with pseudo forces?
They're completely compatible. Thank you. I mean, okay,
they are
accelerated versus unaccelerated. Yeah. I mean, well, why are you saying gravity is not accelerated? I don't understand this. Let's try this one again. So gravity, because it's a pseudo force, isn't compatible? Yeah. So you're saying Newton's laws of motion
aren't compatible with pseudo forces. Did you not know that, or are you just finding that out?
I always find out a lot of interesting stuff listening to Flurfs.
Yeah, well, maybe look this one up.
Well,
and come back.
but you're here to educate us, right, Shill?
Well, the other one was the Aether. Well, I learned about the Aether today. I mean, that's sort of like hand wave stuff.
It's just a name. No, it's not hand wave stuff. We can show you observations that solidify those ideas.
Do you have a sample of this
phenomena?
Stuff?
Yes, we have so many observations.
So really, observations? Yeah. I thought you guys didn't believe in observational science.
Who says we don't believe in observational science? Who said that?
I thought that was QE for one.
Oh, okay. QE's not here for a reason, by the way.
Yeah.
you might want to check with Zanuck about the angular momentum and linear momentum, because it's definitely not the same thing. It's totally different.
Depends on your frame of reference.
Check with Zanuck, bro. He actually, unlike you, he actually knows what he's talking about sometimes. So.
Zanuck.
Yeah.
But you realize that the difference between angular momentum and linear momentum is your frame of reference, right?
Hey, Paid Nasa Shill, you don't realize that how big an insult he just gave you with that Zanuck thing. Zanuck's a total.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
I can't believe I just did that, but
I don't know him, so I'm sorry.
Zanuck is an abject moron.
Zanuck is smarter than all of them combined.
Well, coming from you, Ed, that's hilarious.
In the Glober world, Zanuck's one of the top Globers in the Glober world.
Don't know him.
Because you don't know what's going on in there.
I know what's going on in here. It's kind of.
Zanuck debunks them all the time, just like Rumpus.
Yeah, I know. Zanuck don't do shit. Tear Zanuck apart every day.
I'm not sure that Rumpus has ever debunked a single thing in his entire life, other than his own claims about him being intelligent or knowing things.
You mean sort of like Ranty proving the globe every time he took a picture?
It's silly. Stop being silly.
Zanuck and Rumpus are two of the best flat earthers we got, honestly.
I don't know about that Rumpus part. But...
Ranty was one of the best Globers around. So,
hey, do you think that things can be hidden from the bottom up without a physical obstruction? Solid physical.
Yeah, because the Aether band has a nice picture of Jupiter and Saturn. How do you explain that on the flat Earth, by the way?
Why is that incompatible with the flat Earth?
I don't know. The whole motion of the planets doesn't seem. Oh, hold on. We're standing still, and the planet's moving around us in sort of loop-de-loops, right?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. On the fact that it was disproven, 300 years ago now?
It was?
400 years
ago? Didn't Einstein say something about relativity and all that shit?
He said no optical experiment could ever prove if the Earth's moving or if the sky's moving. Something like that.
Yeah, Einstein said, amazing how you guys quote mine, Einstein. I love it.
Well, Einstein was an abject retard, but we still use him as a hostile witness.
Yeah, that's an awesome quantum eraser quote, by the way.
I never heard a QE say that before, ever.
Oh, he says that all the time. Don't lie.
I've never heard him. I've listened to QE for years now.
Are you under the impression that only one person is allowed to use certain words in a certain order, and then no one else can ever do that again?
No, but I know where it's coming from, and I know.
I've never heard QE say that, bro.
Cult works, so.
I've never heard QE say that.
Hey, man, when I hear true things, I like to repeat those true things. Pretty sure. So, I don't know. Maybe you spend your life trying to not repeat
you say one true thing yet.
How come all Globers are all over fucking QE's nuts all the time?
Or at least
they are, right?
QE is the right direction, maybe. Because QE is a moron.
You guys can't keep him out of your mouth.
Rocket scientist over in GEMS, he fucking loves QE.
He's your leader.
Rocket scientist loves QE. He's on his dick every day. Right? You ever heard rocket scientists talk that?
Oh, yeah.
He can't.
For a while there, you couldn't go into GEMS and listen for 10 minutes without them fucking talking about QE. It was disgusting. I never heard such fucking love for another man from a group of men.
They love him. They talk about QE's dick more than anything. Rocket, specifically. Some of them, not so much, but... Yo, some of them... I don't know.
We never even bring up QE. No one even says his fucking name.
That's what I mean. No one brought up QE
you just bring up all his arguments.
Right.
Because you do nothing, and you think he's...
They're his arguments, or are they mine when I say
You keep bringing up that fake guy Aristophanes arguments. Why do you keep doing that?
If that's the case,
do the experiment.
If that's the case, you guys don't have any argument. If that's the case, you guys don't have any
Do the Eratosthenes experiment. Prove yourself that the Earth is round.
Is Eratosthenes your argument, or is it someone else's?
I don't care. Do the experiment. You can do the experiment. Unlike QE, unlike QE's bullshit, it is experiment. Do it yourself.
It's not an experiment. What's your
oh, shut up with this thing. So this is the QE.
What's your natural observed phenomena?
Here you go. Here you go. So you're saying you don't listen to QE and you come up with a QE bullshit right off the top.
That's the scientific method. You said you got an experiment. We got to go through the method now. This has nothing to do with QE.
Yes, it does. That's QE's dumbass bullshit.
Nothing to do with QE.
Yes, it does. It's his argument.
Everything to do with him. He made all shit up.
QE made up the scientific method?
No, QE made up the fact that the scientific method is so narrow that you can only follow it if you're doing sixth grade chemistry.
You are literally retarded.
At least he's got some standards.
When was the last time you actually did some real science, by the way?
Fucking scientist.
Cricket.
Am I now?
Crickets.
I'm not a scientist.
I know that.
Crickets,
believe me, I fucking know that. I know that. Believe me, I know that.
Why are you asking?
Because you don't know shit.
Are you a scientist, Shill?
I am, thank you.
Well, what the fuck are you doing hanging around with us? If you're a fucking scientist, don't you have science to do?
Yeah.
Important shit?
I do, but in the meantime, I told you before, I come here to kill some brain cells because it cuts down my alcohol budget. And I like
show me your Bunsen burner right now. If you're a scientist, show me your Bunsen burner and your fucking microscope. I want to see your fucking microscope and a Bunsen burner right now. Now.
Bunsen burners, my God.
Believe in cause and effect.
At least a fucking beaker.
I'm sorry, I laughed. I laughed too hard. That was funny.
So that's your new nickname.
Where's your goggles and white coat?
No, seriously.
Oh, that was good.
In cause and effect in the
that was good. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh so hard. That was really good. Who said that, by the way? Did I use Toy?
No, I think that was Jeremy.
Am I not coming in here? Am I
Jeremy?
Yeah.
We hear you, SE. We hear you.
That was good.
So, NASA, cause and effect. You do not believe this?
Cause and effect, so.
So there you go. So you believe in the scientific method then. Cause and effect, right?
If you
how
were
do you
about to
determine
do
cause and effect? Forget about QE. If you never heard his name, how would you go about science? The scientific method. What would you do?
Oh, man. I don't want to get in this because you guys always take everything.
No, but seriously,
you were about to,
I can answer. If I never heard Quantum Eraser's name, I would do actual real science.
Okay, how would you determine something? How would you determine the cause of an effect? What would you do? What would be your first step?
By ignoring everything Quantum Eraser says, unlike you.
Okay, we're ignoring him. Now what would you do?
Okay, pretend now he's no longer in your mouth. No more Quantum Eraser. What do you do next step?
Well, dick got magically removed from your mouth.
You tell us without mentioning his arguments.
Dude, we're talking about science.
You
think QE
I know.
the scientific method?
I know. SE, I know. You tell us without using Quantum Eraser's arguments. Go.
It's not his arguments, dude.
No, then tell us without using.
Think about what he's saying. He's saying, listen, make your arguments without using anything that's true.
Invented the scientific method. Are you guys ill?
Then tell us. Tell us.
Are you guys ill or something, man?
Tell us. Go ahead.
This NASA paid show said he's a fucking scientist. So let's hear the first step.
That's why he came in.
Let's hear from you, Jared.
White knight for him.
Let's hear from
quiet,
you.
Ed. You bring nothing. I want to hear the scientist tell us.
Let's hear it from you guys. Explain it to us.
Ed, you're a shill.
No, let's hear from the scientist.
Let's see how much you guys know.
Why don't we let the scientist tell us?
Get off the white horse.
Why don't we let the scientist tell us what he does?
No, Jeremy.
You don't want to hear from the scientist?
Ed, go drink some soy milk and let NASA Shill explain it.
You're such a professor. You explain it to us, Jeremy.
Why do you always deflect a question with a question, Ed? You can't ever answer a fucking question.
All right, guys. I'm not. I can't understand.
Question doesn't require you to actually have any particular knowledge in any particular area.
Hold on a second,
right?
Guys, hold on.
All right, we're all talking over each other.
I made him run away. I knew it. When you ask him a tough question,
I'm chill, by the way. I don't know if you guys are still talking.
He ran away like a little baby. You see that?
Paid NASA show. Hold on. Paid NASA show. You're about to do some science. What's the first thing you're gonna do?
He's not here, bro.
Oh, I thought he was
gone.
Ed, Ed, you
John,
fucking
when he
pussy.
heard my
you skip-
question, he buckled like a little.
Right, so explain it then, Essie. Go ahead.
Well, are you a scientist, Ed?
Explain it.
Yeah, he's a science troll.
Ed, are you a scientist?
Either one of you. Go ahead.
Ed, are you a scientist, Ed?
Explain it, please.
Ed, are you a scientist?
Go.
Or Ed, are you a scientist?
Right, so you can't explain it?
Ed, are you a scientist?
Can you explain it, yes or no?
Are you a scientist, Ed?
Did you see how your boy ran away, Ed?
Ed, are you
Was
a
that like
scientist, though?
faster than the speed of light?
Who's on
you
first?
can travel faster than the speed
I'm
of light?
still here, but he won't explain it, so...
Was that time
I
dilation?
can explain it, but I just need to know if you're a scientist or not.
Right, so you're not going to explain it then?
I'm going to explain it, but I need you to answer my question. Are you a scientist?
Hearing the explanation.
I didn't. You broke up a little bit. I didn't hear your yes or no answer.
Well, he said yes. I'm a
Hearing the
Scientologist.
explanation.
Bullshitology is my specialty.
Right, so you're not...
When we do science, we're going to want to follow
I'm not
a
hearing your
method, right? Yeah, when we're going to do science, we're going to want to follow a method, right?
Go ahead, explain it.
The method?
Whatever you want. Go ahead, explain it.
Well, first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to need an effect to know the cause of, right? We're looking for cause and effect, right? Would you agree, or do you not know how this works?
Stop asking me questions and explain it.
I need to make sure that you're following along like a sing-along.
I'm listening. I'm listening. Just go on and explain whatever you need. Go ahead.
Well, first you're going to need an effect that we're going to try to find the cause of. So we're going to look for an observed phenomena to find our effect. Then once we got that, we can proceed to step 2, which is make a hypothesis. We're gonna try to make an educated guess on what the cause of the effect is. Then we're gonna go to step 3, and we're gonna do an experiment to see if that cause actually is the cause of the effect or not. And then when the experiment's done, we'll know. We'll either validate our hypothesis or our null hypothesis. Right? Would you agree with that, or do you not know what the fuck's going on at this point?
I wrote it down. I made notes.
You wrote it all down?
Yeah,
I'm glad you're taking notes.
making notes. Number
I'm glad
one.
you're taking notes.
Number 1, effect. Number 2, hypothesis. Number 3, experiment. Number 4.
Very simple.
Number 4.
Yeah.
No.
Number 4, what?
We will know. After the experiment.
You will have validated your null hypothesis or your hypothesis. Yeah, we'll know. Absolutely.
Right. Like we see an effect, right? We see somebody wobbling, like you. Hypothesis: the guy is not feeling well. He's out of his mind. We do an experiment. We ask him a few questions. We determine he's a moron. Then we know. There it is.
Nice. That was actually really good.
That's observational science right there.
I mean, come on, Ed. You should know this shit, how we do science.
Hey, why'd that scientist run
You want
away,
me
Ed?
to
Right, okay, so...
I was hoping he was going to stay and explain it to you, so I didn't have to. I'm not a scientist. I know how it works, but I've never actually done it, but I know how it works.
So
Right,
what's wrong with what Jeremy said, Ed?
What?
What is wrong with what's your comment on what Jeremy said?
Well, let's apply this method then. We see things fall. We make an hypothesis like gravity. We do some experiments, and then number 4, we know, yeah, it's gravity. Okay.
How did you vary and manipulate?
Hey, listen. Hey, no. Listen, shut the fuck
Hold
up.
on.
I
Let me
followed
just-
the exact list. I followed the 4 steps that Jeremy gave me. Don't bullshit me now.
Okay, hold on.
There's
Hold on a second.
subparts. There's subparts, Ed.
Hold-
Jeremy's got to tell you the subparts.
It's a little more complicated than that.
Right.
First of all, you're going to have to
what
make...
he said just now. He's shifting he's moving the goalpost.
Hold on a second. I gave you
No,
a brief
Jeremy,
rundown.
Jeremy.
I gave you a brief
Jeremy.
rundown.
Come on.
Hold on a second.
I
gave you a
followed
brief
your method.
Yes, I gave you a brief rundown of how the method. Hold on a second, Ed.
I
I gave you a brief
method. I made notes.
Christ.
Are you kidding me?
I gave you a brief rundown
Gravity
of how the.
been
Let me know when you're
verified.
done. Let me know
Experiment
when you're done, Ed.
by Jeremy. Thanks,
Are you
Jared.
done?
Thank you.
Okay, are you done? All right. Now there's a few more details you're going to need to know than just that, what I told you, obviously. First of all, in your hypothesis, you're going to want to make sure that the cause is actually a real thing.
Hold on. I'm going to make notes. Slow the fuck down.
Okay. Okay, let me know when you got your pen and paper out.
Right, so...
Okay, now when you're guessing a cause, you're making an educated guess on what the cause of the effect is. You're going to want to make sure that that cause is actually a real thing before you go any step, and you can't go further unless
wait a second,
your cause is real.
Jeremy, hold on. How the fuck can I know if it's a real thing if I haven't even done the experiment yet?
Because okay, let's say we're going to do an experiment on boiling water, right? And we use heat as our in our hypothesis. We're going to say heat is causing the water to boil. Before you can say that, you need to know if heat is a real thing or not. Right? You're not going to say unicorn farts are the cause of water boiling. You don't even know if unicorn farts are real.
Let's say I don't know why stuff falls down and I'm making an hypothesis. How can I know if the thing I'm hypothesizing is real if I haven't done the experiment yet? Because that's what you're telling me. I need to base my educated guess on something.
Yeah, exactly. How would you know?
How do I know it's real before I do the experiment?
Because the cause that you're guessing that
I just found a loophole in your fucking method, Jeremy.
No, it's not a loophole.
No,
you just found exactly the problem with gravity.
Yes, but you're going to need to know
with his method.
It's not you didn't find a loophole. You're going to need to know that the cause is a real thing before you go further.
I should have said it's a malfunction in your.
It's not a malfunction. You need to know the cause.
Exactly.
You need to know that the cause.
Listen, you dumbass. I don't know the cause, and that's
you
why
don't make up the cause.
You don't make up the cause. Find out
gravity.
The cause.
You don't make up the cause.
Just make up something that we don't know if it's real.
To find out the cause. So
yes, the cause has to be
Jeremy. So Jeremy, don't tell me I need to make an educated guess on something I know is real before I did the experiment.
You're wrong. I told you exactly what you should do. You're discovering, or maybe you're just ignoring the problem with gravity. You don't make up the cause.
You're not listening.
I'm listening.
No, you're not.
Do you remember the boiling water?
Don't make up the cause.
No, Bob, you're not listening.
Do you remember the boiling water example?
You're not listening, Bob.
Remember the experiment on boiling water? Do you remember the experiment on boiling water I just gave about using heat? Ed?
Yeah, and? I'm not trying.
We know heat.
The experiment.
We know heat's a real thing. We know heat's a real thing.
I'm not trying to find out if heat is a real thing.
Of course not, because we already know it is.
Right.
You can't use something that's not real in your hypothesis.
I know things falling is a real thing. And then I make an hypothesis. I make an educated guess on what it might be. I don't know yet for sure. That's why I'm doing the fucking experiment. But it might be the thing I'm guessing it is.
What?
So
space-time bending? Hold on a second.
That means it doesn't have to be based on something I know that exists. Otherwise,
yes, it does.
No, Bob.
Do you know why?
No, Bob. No.
Yes,
it doesn't. Do you know why?
Why?
Do you know why it has to be real?
No, Jeremy. No,
Hold
Jeremy.
on. I'm explaining to you why.
No, because I wasn't finished yet.
Oh my goodness, this
I'm
guy.
going to explain
I wasn't finished yet.
Seems like
it doesn't matter. You don't even know what you're talking about.
I wasn't done talking. The reason I don't need to know if it's real in my hypothesis is because I didn't do the experiment yet, and I'm doing the experiment to find out if my hypothesis is based on reality or not.
That's mentally retarded.
Hold on, Bob,
that's what science is, you fucking
no,
idiot.
It's not.
Are you kidding me?
Making it more difficult, bro.
Why would I do an experiment if I already know it's real? You're a dumbass, Bob. You're retarded. Seriously.
Can I explain it to you or no?
You think
Can I explain it?
Make up the cause?
Can I explain it to you? Ed,
that's what
Ed,
you do the experiment for.
No, it's not. That's
yes,
not
it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's super duper not.
science is. You're a
Please stop,
dumbass.
Bob. Bob, will you
Oh
please
man,
stop
I
so
hope
I can
you're
explain
recording
it?
this, Brandon.
Bob.
I really do.
Yes, me too.
Yes,
because
I am.
It's fucking retarded.
Oh my
Check,
goodness,
check.
he thinks you get to make
I've
up the
never
cause,
understood
and that's how you do science.
before. How idiotic
Can you guys
do you
hear
have
me?
to be that you think you already have to know everything about an experiment before
Can
you're
I
gonna
explain
do
it,
it?
Ed? Can
That's
I explain it to you or no?
Insane.
Do you want me to hear it? Do you want me to hear you the explanation for why or no?
It's
Shut
gonna
the
be
fuck up for a second.
extremely retarded.
Shut
So
up.
please go ahead. Make
Shut
me
up.
laugh.
Thank you. Be quiet, please. Now, here's why you need to know if it's real or not. Because the cause, the guess that you're making of the cause, that's going to be something called your independent variable. What you're going to need to do.
Know the cause
What you're
yet.
going to need to do.
That's what I'm doing the experiment for, you fucking idiot.
Yes, you don't know the cause. So we're guessing.
That's why I'm doing the experiment, to find out if the cause I'm hypothesizing is actually real. So I don't need to know if my hypothesis is real.
Can you be quiet and let me explain it to you or no? Now,
Do
the
you-
reason
do
why the
you
cause needs to be
understand
real.
what I
Shut
said,
the
Jeremy?
fuck up.
Do you
Ed,
understand
shut
what I
up.
said?
I'm explaining it to you. Shut up.
Do you get what I said?
Yes, but
Maybe he
you're
realized the corner
highly
he's backed
mistaken
himself
right
in
now
and can't
because
let you finish.
Bob,
Why am I
really?
mistaken? Why would I do an experiment if I already know
Well,
what's
if you
going
shut
on?
up and let him
You'll
explain,
never
maybe
shut
he'll
up
get
and
you
let
to
me explain
understand.
it to you, so I can't. And we got Bob jumping in every 5 seconds. So just relax for a second and let me explain it. The reason why you know that your cause needs to be a real thing is because it's called your independent variable, and you're going to need to systematically manipulate it. So you're not going to be able to systematically manipulate something if you don't even know if it's fucking real or not.
That's simply wrong.
That's not wrong. That's not wrong. That's
Yes, it
why
is
you
wrong.
need to know that your cause
It
is
is
real.
extremely wrong because the
You're a
reason I'm
science
doing the
denier.
experiment, the
How
reason
dare
I'm
she's
He's
a science
literally a
denier.
science
the reason I'm
denier.
doing
You're
the
a science denier,
experiment
bro.
is to
Global
find
science
out
deniers.
if the cause I put in my hypothesis is the actual real cause. And I
You've
don't
become
know
the
if
thing you
it is
despise.
until I do the experiment. So I don't need to know if it's real beforehand.
Oh, my
Otherwise, I
goodness.
wouldn't
How are
have
you
to
gonna
do the
systematic-
experiment.
Okay,
Jeremy,
here's my follow-up question. How are you going to systematically How are you going to systematically manipulate something that if you don't even know if it's real or not?
That's why I'm doing the fucking experiment, you idiot.
To systematically manipulate something that you don't even know is real?
How I can.
How do you even do that?
To find out how I can. By doing experiments.
Okay,
because
tell
I
me how
don't know the exact cause yet. I made an hypothesis. I'm trying to find out if it's real or not by doing an experiment.
All right, and how are you going to systematically manipulate something that you can't even
By
tell is real or
doing
not?
more experiments and find out what the actual cause is.
You can't do one experiment without
Please
knowing
cut
if
out
it's
this
real
section
or not.
and bring it up tomorrow for us to all listen to.
So you don't think you have to systematically manipulate the independent variable? Is that what you're saying?
If you don't even know what it is, you need to do.
You have to know what it is.
You need
Jeremy, you're
to do
wasting your time with this guy.
first.
I can see that.
If you don't know what it
I
is, you're not
argue
doing
hours
science
with
anymore.
Nathan,
You're in
hours.
pretend
Just-
land.
You're wasting your time, I'm telling you. Take your head, bang it against the wall, same thing.
Listen, that's the.
Yeah, we
I
need to
get
cut
through
this section
people
out
at
and
some point.
let people listen to it tomorrow on the live show.
You
This
guys are
is like this is golden and
If you
sad at the
already
same
know
time.
everything about every cause, why do
Well,
you need to do experiments?
How are you going to do an experiment on something?
Jeremy, answer
How
me.
are you? Hold on.
Jeremy, answer
What
me.
was your question? What was the question?
If you already know everything about every cause, why do you need to do an experiment?
You don't know everything about every cause. That's why we're doing the experiment.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked. You're telling me you already need to know if the cause is based in reality, which means I already know what the cause is. Then why the fuck am I still doing the experiment? What am I trying to find out?
Your premise is incorrect.
You don't know. You don't know what the cause is. That's why we're doing the experiment.
If it's based in reality or not. That means I can't uphold to your standard, which means science can't be done.
Really not get it, or is he pretending?
Brandon, are you recording this?
Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, this is good stuff. I think we're making progress here.
How much you want to bet? You can do it for another hour. How much you want to bet?
Okay, listen.
He will not give up until you give up. I bet anybody $100.
You're not answering the question. But you never answered the question.
I give you 2 to 1 odds.
What's your question, Ed?
I'll type it in the chat, and you're not going to dance around it.
Say it out loud. Just say it out loud. What's the question?
I'm going to type it first, and then I'll say it, so you can't dance around it anymore.
Okay, just say it out loud right now.
Amazing.
You really got me pinned to the wall. Why don't you just say it out loud right now so I can hear it?
Just give me a second.
I mean, your question did stump a scientist already, so don't feel bad, Ed.
I mean, you can't if I say, all right, I think this is the cause of the effect. First of all, we're doing the experiment because we don't know if the cause, what the cause of the effect is. That's why we're doing the experiment, to try to figure out the cause. Now,
no comprende, señor.
SC, I can get through to these people.
No, bro, no chance in hell. This guy, yeah, you out of your mind.
It's like you're trying to dig through titanium with a plastic spoon, dude.
If you don't know Ed, oh my God, he is the top troll. I mean, he has gold. He has black belt, 3 Dan, 4 Dan.
Okay, at least this guy is like somehow so absurdly ridiculous that it's actually funny. This is entertaining.
Oh yeah, you never heard him go at it with Nathan?
Oh,
it's
no, I haven't.
Priceless, man. It's priceless.
Is it?
Oh yeah, you gotta hear Ed with Nathan.
Ed, did you manage to type your question out yet, or are you still trying to formulate it?
It's coming. Relax.
Why don't you just say it out loud?
It's multiple layers.
Finished.
Why don't you say the first layer so I can get the gist of it?
It's coming.
Where is he typing? Is he typing it in general chat?
Put it this way.
Well, somebody.
Okay, all right, guys. Is he putting out the baller signal so he can get someone to white knight him for a little bit?
Bob, if Bruce Lee was here, he would be scared of Ed. Let's put it that way.
I only have one question. How do you systematically manipulate something if you don't even know if it's real or not? Ed?
Math.
Space-time is your cause for gravity, right?
Yep. Space-time, math, models.
How
use a model to
are you going to manipulate that if you don't even know if it's real or not? Bob, can you hear when other people are talking or no?
I have been under the impression that this is not a very serious conversation, considering what he's been saying. If this is very, very serious to you, I can stop for a while and let you go.
No, it's fine. I'd like to have your 2 cents input, but
this doesn't seem like very serious to me at all. He seems like he's either actually mentally handicapping himself, or he really honestly doesn't understand. And either way, this doesn't seem like a conversation.
You got a good point.
It's there. Jeremy.
Go.
You told me you need to know because if the cause in your hypothesis is based in reality. In order to know that, you need to know everything about every cause.
False.
So, if you already know that, why are you doing the experiment? What are you trying to find out?
You're trying to find the cause of the effect.
But you already know that, you fucking moron. I just said that.
I just
said that. Read my question again in the general chat. Go read it, because you don't understand it. You're not answering.
All right, let me go to the general chat.
It's easy to understand, man.
Why are you doing an experiment then?
Yeah, if you know the cause of the effect, there's no reason to do the experiment.
Why would you do it? Exactly. You make no sense, Ed. You think you're going to get away with stuff like that here, bro?
You told me I need to know if the cause in my hypothesis is based in reality or unreality.
Yes,
that's
like the boiling water experiment.
Hold on, hold the fuck on.
Ed, like the boiling water experiment.
Shut up. I can only know that. I can only know if my cause is based in reality or not
if I already know everything about it. Yes.
No, that's not true. False.
No.
That's wrong.
What do you mean? It could be something. There could be something else.
Hey, I can explain to you why.
There could
I can
be
explain
other
to you why.
stuff involved.
Guess what? Heat exists whether you know about it or not. You
Yeah,
can
if I know
have
that
something get
molecules
heated up, but you don't need to know how heat works to know that heat is a cause.
Okay. Right. So is that the cause of water boiling then?
Yes.
Is heat the cause of?
Hold on. Don't get off this. Don't go off the rails here.
Right. So
my question. I answered your question.
You see what I mean?
Ed.
You see what I mean, Jeremy?
Ed, I answered your question. Now it's my turn for a question.
You didn't answer at all.
What's your question?
Yeah, it's in the chat. I'm not gonna say it again. That's why I typed it.
Hold on.
The chat.
General.
And that's why I typed out specifically what you told me about the scientific method. You think it is?
You told me you need to know if the cause and your hypothesis is based in reality. In order to know that, you already need to know everything. No, that's not true. Your question is there's a statement in your question that's wrong.
Your
in order to know that,
and your conclusion
in order
is
to know that, you already need to know everything about every cause. It's false. It's absolutely wrong and retarded. Okay, my turn. How are you going to systematically manipulate?
Claim it's retarded, but you're not explaining why. That's not how it works, buddy. Or else my next answer will be just retarded, and we're done. Is that how you want to play?
Seems like it'll save us some time. Big fat waste of time.
No, you tell me, Jeremy. Is that how you want to play this? You want to tell me you started and move on?
Okay. All right. No, I'll play your little game. So we got our boiling water experiment, right? We know that heat exists. We don't know that it's molecules bouncing around faster. We don't know anything about heat. We just know we touch it, it's hot. Okay? And so we have to know that heat actually exists so that we can make a roaring fire instead of just little hot coals that's not that hot. So we don't need to know everything about the cause. We just have to know that it actually exists like heat does. Does that answer your question, or?
No, because I said every cause.
You don't need to. Why would you need to know everything about every cause when we're talking about heat making water boil?
Because is heat the only reason water boils, like Bob just told us?
There's other variables.
I didn't say only.
Exactly.
There's other variables. So
exactly. So if you're making the hypothesis as to why water boils, and you're making up some stuff, which is what you have to do in order to find out, discover new things, or you make an educated guess, which a guess is still making something up.
Okay,
yes?
All right. Let's start over.
Right, so you make an educated guess. You don't know. You don't, Jeremy. You don't know if it's real yet. That's why you're making.
We know heat is real.
The heat is real. Whether or not
we know heat is real.
No. If that's the only reason why water boils, people use.
We know. The point is, we know.
Jeremy. The point is, people used to think heat was the only reason. Then we discovered
heat was real.
Bob, shut the fuck up. Then we discovered there are other reasons why water boils besides heat. We had to do tests for that, experiments, find things out. Make an hypothesis, make a guess, and then find out if that guess is based in reality with experiments. We don't know if our guess is based in reality before we do the experiments, because that's what we do the fucking experiments for. You dumbass.
Do you know what an independent variable is?
You didn't listen to what I said.
I heard you, but I need to go about this another way, obviously.
What you said is really stupid.
The first way wasn't working. Bob, hold on a second. Let me just get 5 minutes with this guy, please.
All right, okay. I'll go on mute.
5 minutes. Ed, do you know what an independent variable is?
Why don't you tell me what you think it is?
What, dude? If you're not going to answer any fucking questions, then just go.
No, it's an irrelevant question.
It's not an irrelevant question. We're talking about the fuck. We've been talking about the independent
one question
variable.
You've asked him. I don't know if you realize that, Jeremy, so far.
Just
the independent variable this whole time.
Just tell me what it is.
Fucking retard.
Just tell me what you think it is.
Been
no, it's your turn to answer
a
question. Answer Jeremy's question. Go. Anybody have that cricket sound thing?
Ed, do you know what an independent variable is?
Answer his question, Ed.
Ed, mic check. Do you know what an independent variable is, Ed?
There it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
I played.
Okay, what's an independent variable?
Hold on.
Why are you cricketing yourself? I don't
There
understand.
it is. There it is.
Why are you doing it to yourself, though?
Because I already gave you the answer. Tell me what you think it is. Just like with the scientific method.
No, you didn't give me your answer. I didn't hear it. So why don't you just restate it real quick?
You gave me a list of the scientific method, and we've been going over this method for like 30 minutes or more. Go ahead and tell me what you think this independent variable is.
Well, I know what it is. I don't think you know what it is. That's why you're having a little
Tell me what you think it is, Jeremy.
The independent variable is it's in your hypothesis. It's going to be your cause to the effect. Your presumed
educated
cause.
guess. Your educated guess.
Your presumed cause, yeah.
Your educated,
presumed cause.
Presumed
cause, whatever you want to call it. It's what you think the cause is.
Okay.
Jeremy, you fell for his trick there. He didn't answer you.
No, this is
he doesn't
incredible.
know what's going on. But...
So why would I do?
Hold on, I'm not done. Ed, I'm not done.
Why would I do an experiment to find out things I already know?
You don't know, though. That's why we're doing the experiment.
Then how can I know if it's based in reality or not beforehand?
I'm trying to explain it to you. If you'd shut the fuck up for 5 seconds. Now, let me continue on.
But we already went over
this independent
the
variable.
Of boiling water.
Oh,
Heat is not the only cause. There are other causes that people didn't know.
The independent variable, you're going to have to systematically manipulate this. You understand that?
But they didn't know if the other causes of boiling water were based on reality before they did the experiments. That's my whole point. And you seem to...
Hey, guys, I'm going to watch a movie with the wife. I don't know if I'll be on later or not. Hopefully tomorrow we can get Brandon to play some of this conversation, because this is good stuff.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for interrupting every conversation, by the way.
Adios, Jeremy.
You guys heard me screaming? No. Yo, do you know that you're going to have to systematically manipulate the independent variable, Ed?
Bye, bandwagon.
Bye, Bob. Ed, do you know that you have to systematically manipulate the independent variable?
Right. Hold on. I'm going to write this down.
No, you don't need to fucking write this down. If you don't know this, you shouldn't even be in this conversation.
You have to manipulate every... What's the next thing?
You have to systematically manipulate the independent variable.
got to spell it correct the first time. Okay. Systematically manipulate the independent variable. That's what you said, right?
Yes, in the experiment part, yes. Let me know when you're done writing this down. This is tedious. I don't know why you're writing this down. This is common knowledge.
Yeah,
everyone knows
because flat earthers make a lot of claims, and then 15 minutes later...
This isn't making no claims. This is the scientific method. This is not claiming.
Man, I know. I'm writing it down.
Holy shit. Let me know when you're done writing.
I'm done. Next.
Okay. Okay, now do you know what systematically manipulate means?
Manipulate according to a system.
What?
No, but seriously.
Why are you laughing like an idiot?
Yeah, because that's the
first he's trolling you, bro. That's why.
No.
I'm just getting trolled, actually.
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Do you know what systematically manipulate means?
No, not really. Tell me.
It means you're gonna have to change it. You're gonna have to make changes with your own hands. You're gonna have to change the way that it is. Manipulate. You're gonna have to manipulate it over and over again. Now, if the thing that we're supposed to systematically manipulate, if we don't know if that's even a real thing or not, how are we going to systematically manipulate it if we don't even know if it's real?
We're doing experiments and trying to find out if it is real, and then we do more experiments.
Hold on a second. We're still at the first experiment where we need to systematically manipulate the thing that we don't know if it's real or not. So how do you intend on doing that?
why you keep doing experiments until
No,
you
you can't
figure it
do
out.
Ed, you can't do a single experiment until you systematically manipulate this thing.
You can do many experiments, as many as you like. There's nothing stopping you.
The thing that's stopping you is you're going to need to systematically manipulate this thing that you don't even know is real.
You're just making an educated guess, and then you're trying to find out if that educated guess is real or not by doing experiments.
Wrong. You're wrong.
No, that's actually how
you
it
already
works.
have to know that this thing is real because you're going to.
No, you don't have
in the
to
experiment.
know
Hold on. In the
if you
experimental stage,
you don't have to do any experiments. That's ridiculous.
In the experimental stage of this, you're going to have to systematically manipulate that independent variable that you don't know even if it's real.
Try to find out what that thing is. So
you're systematically manipulating it. You're not trying to find out what it is. You're going to systematically manipulate.
No, you try to find
out. That's how it works. Yes.
You try to find out what the cause is in reality, and you make an educated guess, and then you work based on that. So
yes, and now you're educated. Now your presumed cause is called the independent variable, and that independent variable you're going to need to manipulate. Now, how are you going to manipulate something? Stop! Why are you talking?
To find out what it is.
Why are you talking in the middle of my explanation? Now, that independent variable, you're going to need to systematically manipulate it. How are you going to do that if you don't even know if it's real or not?
You're trying to find out if it's real by doing experiments.
No, you're not. That's not. No, absolutely not. No, you're wrong.
Does.
No, your experiment is to see if the cause. If the cause.
What science does, trying to find out new things, new causes, new whatever. Yes.
New causes, maybe not new things. Listen, at the end of this all, you're a fucking idiot. All right, there's no other way about it. Anyone that's heard this, what's going on here? No, you're an idiot.
If you follow this ridiculous method that you and QE proposed, then
this has nothing to do with QE.
You're never going to reach anything. You're never going to discover anything. You're never going to build.
This has nothing to do with QE. Why did you mention his name?
Yeah, it is actually. It is.
Nothing to do with QE.
It's exactly his narrative.
It's not his narrative. It's the scientific method. That's how we do science, bro. That's how we do science.
His twisted, insane version of science. Yes. And you guys all think he's some sort of genius.
I just want to know from you how we're going to systematically manipulate something that you don't even know is real, if it's real or not.
But that's why you do experiments.
That's going to be a hell of a fucking magic trick. You can't do one experiment. You stop saying we're going to do experiments. You can't even do one. You can't do one single experiment.
Yeah, of course you can.
Because you can't manipulate the independent variable.
You can manipulate anything you want, so that's why you do experiments.
How do you manipulate something if you don't know if it's real or not?
That's why you do experiments, to try to find out what's real or not.
How do you manipulate something if you don't know if it's real?
Well, that's why you do experiments, to find out if it's real.
Oh, you're fucking retarded, bro. There's no ways around it.
It's just, that's what science does.
I'm sorry, I don't like the name call, but you're literally, anyone that's been listening to this knows that you're retarded, as long as they're not retarded.
That's fine. Most flat earthers think I'm retarded, but that's...
I mean, explain to me how you're going to systematically manipulate... Explain to me how you systematically manipulate something in this one experiment if you don't know if the thing's real or not, that you're supposed to be systematically manipulating.
Experiment now, are you? I mean, that's kind of idiotic.
You can't go past this experiment until you system. Hold on, Ed. You can't go on to do more experiments.
Let me get this straight. You already need to know what the exact cause is.
Nope.
Otherwise you can't know. Otherwise, you can't know if it's based in reality.
You're wrong.
And then you're somehow doing an experiment for something to find out.
You're fucking wrong. Your first sentence was wrong. You should just stop right now because your first sentence was wrong.
Not only that, you only have to do the experiment once. You even
wrong again? You're wrong again. You're wrong again. I'm going to explain it to you one last time because I'm starting to think SE was right and you're just...
Of course
I'm going to just say it one more time because Okay, I'm just going to say it one more time because I'm starting to think SE was right and you're just trolling me. Now, here's what we're going to do. You're going to get...
I'm serious. This is what science does, and you're
okay, then shut the fuck up for a second and let me say my piece because this is the last time I'm saying it.
Will do anything for humanity.
Are you done?
It's completely meaningless.
Are you done now? All right. Your independent variable needs to be a real thing because you're going to need to systematically manipulate it. You can't go on and do more experiments until you do this one experiment. So it's not like you say, "Oh, we're going to do more experiments." You can't do a single experiment unless you can systematically manipulate this independent variable. Does that not make sense to you, or?
Well, Brandon seems to want to add something. Why don't you speak up, Brandon?
I didn't hear him say anything. What's up, Brandon?
In the chat, so I wonder if he lost his voice or something.
Do you understand what I just said though about not being able to go on to do more experiments?
Okay, well, I'll respond when you get back then.
Do you understand what I said about not being able to go on to do more experiments until you do this first experiment?
Right. So again, how can I find out if something is real if I don't do any experiments?
What?
Observe it.
What's so hard to understand, Jeremy? How can I know if something is real if I didn't do any experiments yet? That's what I'm doing the fucking experiments for, to find out if the thing I'm proposing in my hypothesis actually exists.
But do you realize that you can't systematically manipulate something if you don't even know if it's real?
Fucking want.
Do you understand that you can't systematically manipulate something unless you know it's real?
Manipulating what I want, Jeremy. You're being pathetic.
Do you understand? This is the last time I'm going to ask. After that, I'm done with you. Do you understand?
You are done because you're not making any argument. You're being dumb.
Do you understand that? Do you understand in order to systematically manipulate? Do you understand in order to systematically manipulate something that you have to know it's real?
How do I know if the thing in my hypothesis is real if I didn't do any experiments yet?
Because you can't systematically manipulate it unless it's real. You have to know it's real.
But I have to do experiments to know if it is.
No, the experiment is the.
Yes, that's what I'm doing the experiments for.
We're done. You're a clown. Anyone that
find out if it's real or not.
You're a clown after.
Yeah,
go fuck yourself.
I got a question for you, Ed. Can you give us an example of an independent variable that you don't know if it's real, but you can manipulate it?
I don't know. I don't care. What do you mean by independent variable?
Oh my god. Come on, man. Not another question with a question.
You guys all mean something different, so let's hear it.
No, you're the one making the claim. Now, what is something that isn't real, that you don't know if it's real, that you can manipulate?
You asked me about a term that's very... how should I say it? Used idiotically within the flat Earth community.
Your presumed cause, your independent variable, presumed cause.
Jeremy, you said you were done, so shut up.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is your presumed cause something that you can manipulate. So give me an example of one where you don't know if the independent variable is real, but you can manipulate
that's why I'm doing the experiments to find out if it's real.
How do you manipulate it if you don't know what it is or if it's real?
That's what I'm doing the experiments for.
Well, give me an example.
Well, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know.
So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about then?
No, I actually do know what I'm talking about.
But you're not a scientist, so you can't answer my question?
But neither are you, so... What can you answer?
What a fucking clown. I can't believe I just wasted all that time with you.
He's fucking with us. I don't know why you do this, Ed.
No, actually, I'm not. I'm actually educating you. And I'm just a dumbass.
Is this how your education was? Because if this is your idea of educating someone...
I mean, let me rephrase that. All of you flat earthers here are getting educated by a dumbass.
You think this is how you educate someone?
Well... Yes.
Oh, fuck, dude.
I explained it thoroughly. You guys are
No, you didn't. You can't even give me an example. You said you're not a scientist.
Well, no, because... So what? I'm not a scientist. That doesn't mean I don't understand.
Ed, shut up, man.
Idiot.
You know how ridiculous you're being. Come on, man.
No, it's not ridiculous at all.
So you're making an argument, but you don't even have an example.
No, doesn't matter.
Doesn't?
No,
well,
of course
why not? Why not?
Because it's pure logic. If you already know everything about it, if you already know the cause and the whole shebang, then why the fuck would I need to do an experiment?
You don't know the cause.
That's our argument. Hello?
Right. No, that's not your argument.
Didn't I tell you that an hour ago?
No, that's not your argument. Your argument is you already need to know
what the cause of the effect is. Why are we going to do an experiment?
Stop it. Your argument is that I already need to know before I do the experiment. That's retarded.
No, you need to know if the cause is a real thing. You don't need to know that it is the cause.
That's what I'm doing the experiment for, you fucking idiot.
No, that's not what you do the experiment for.
Yes, that is what I'm doing the experiment for. Yes.
Okay, name me one time they did an experiment.
That's what science is, you idiot.
Name me one time they've done an experiment where they didn't know if the independent variable was a real thing.
When they didn't know all the reasons why water boils, when they thought it was just heat.
Name one time. Okay, name one time they've done an experiment where they didn't know if the independent variable was a real thing or not.
That's why they're doing the experiments.
Name me one time. Name me one.
That's why they're doing the experiments. Because they don't know. They want to know if it's real or not.
Then this should be easy for you. Name one.
If you already know, then you don't have to do any experiments.
What a fucking retard this guy is. This is the bottom of the barrel Globers here, Brandon. You gotta start vetting these people.
Well, we had Kosho. Kosho's your boy, remember? Kosho's cool. He's a cool guy. Remember all that?
Well, he's one of the top Globers. I mean,
he didn't prove it tonight.
Well, I mean, they can't prove the globe at all. So
yeah. I don't know, Ed. Well, I wouldn't go around making arguments up, and my fallback position is I'm not a scientist.
So that's really funny that you can't show anything about the flat Earth, yet you're talking about the globe. You don't even know what science is.
Is it 1v1?
No, go ahead. What do you got to say?
Yeah, Michelson and Morley is the one experiment where they didn't know if ether existed or not.
What's up?
Michelson and Morley tested ether even though they didn't know if it existed or not. So they figured out
what was their natural? Sure. What was their natural observed phenomena?
Was it what
light?
Was there? Yeah, was it light? Don't remember there the whole test.
I think they said light needs a medium or something.
Yeah,
yes, light needed a medium to propagate. And they actually thought the ether was real, and they wanted to prove that it was, and they found out it wasn't.
Okay, so
did they manipulate the ether?
I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing the ether wasn't their independent variable then, was it? Now, good example.
Unless they were able to manipulate it.
Good example.
It is a good example. Wasn't the independent variable the tilt of the telescope, if I remember correctly?
Well, they knew tilts and telescopes were real. I mean, you have to know that this thing is actually real to be able. You know what I'm saying? This is like common sense shit.
No, you don't.
I guess
You're
that's
a fucking
why
retard.
ether can never be dealt with because it can't exist.
It can't?
I mean, it can't because you can't manipulate it, so you can't scientifically verify that it exists.
Right.
That is correct.
Can't manipulate a container, can't manipulate a flat Earth, can't manipulate stationary. That's amazing.
Can manipulate gravity, can manipulate time dilation, can manipulate black holes. Don't even try, dude. Don't even go there.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, but the flat Earth is just completely debunked by our own standards. Isn't that amazing?
No, we don't make fantastical claims.
No, but it's debunked by your own standards, Essie. Don't you understand?
How do you know? You're not even a fucking scientist.
Doesn't matter. It's your standards. You can't manipulate it. Therefore, it's not science. Therefore, not any evidence whatsoever. So not flat Earth.
Your guys' argument.
No, that's your standards, Essie.
You guys argue that you can't prove anything.
No, Essie. No.
We argue the contrary.
I didn't say proof. I said evidence. And it's your standards because you can't manipulate it. Therefore, no evidence, no science. So, no dome, no flat Earth, not stationary. Need I go on?
You're
Dumbasses.
delusional, Ed. And you've showed it over and over tonight. Come on.
So you accept our standard then?
No, I'm just holding you to your own standard. How does it feel?
Well, if you can hold us to the standard, you got to live by
No,
it too.
but seriously, how does it feel to be held to your own standards and realize the flat Earth is debunked?
I'm good with it, but that also debunks the globe.
Okay, well, it's amazing. Welcome to the globe, Brandon.
No,
Ed,
there is no globe.
Nathan's.
You debunked the globe
Nathan
too.
Throw you out of the show.
I didn't debunk anything.
Yes, you did. We have the same standards now.
You just debunked flat Earth with your own standards.
No, we have the same standards, so the globe's debunked as well.
No, we don't. No, we don't have the same standards.
Yep, we do now.
It's just your standards of science. You can't manipulate everything, therefore not science, no evidence. So bye flat Earth.
Well, I think that's an absurd argument that you're taking way
No,
too far.
of course not. You can't manipulate the dome. You can't manipulate the entire Earth. You can't manipulate stationariness or whatever you want to call it.
That's ridiculous. That's like saying we can't manipulate everything, therefore we can't
Earth is not
burn wood.
stationary. The Earth is not flat. There's no dome. Great. I love this new way of science.
Oh, good. Then we're all back at square one.
Right, so not flat then.
No globe then.
So not flat.
Yeah, and no globe.
That doesn't matter. Not flat.
As long as it's not flat, you don't care, huh?
There's no shape. That's correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Reality is an assumption, so I mean, fuck it.
Yeah. What's up, Lemon?
How the fuck do you manipulate an independent variable if you don't know if it's real or not? You guys are fucking
That's
retards.
why you're doing the experiment, Jeremy. It's
You're
strange
straight
that
up
you're still stuck
retard.
on that. Why are you still
The
stuck on that?
experiment is...
Here we go again.
The experiment
Jeremy, why
has
are you
you
stuck
doing...
on that? I already explained it. That's why you're doing the
Listen,
experiments
let me
to find
explain.
it out.
No,
yeah, you've
in the experiment...
explained it, but you're just going in circles.
Your position makes so much sense, you can't give us an example.
Well, your position makes so much
experiment-
sense, it debunks your own ideas.
In the experiment, you're going to need to systematically manipulate this thing that you don't know if it's real or not. You're not trying to prove if it's real.
That's why you're doing the
systematically
experiments,
manipulating this thing. No, you're a retard.
No,
We're
that's
done.
why you're doing the
You're an
science
idiot.
experiment.
You're literally idiot. Or you're just a troll. I can't tell which one. Either way.
No, it's fine. I've been
doesn't
called
matter.
a robot before, so it doesn't matter to me. You're still wrong, and yeah.
He's a globe
doesn't
po.
matter.
Can you give us an example of one time they actually did systematically manipulate an independent variable that they didn't know was real or not?
Yeah, didn't Wallman just give you one?
No, he didn't. Absolutely not.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Wallman, can you
Maybe
please
you,
repeat
you
it?
must have missed
Why
it. They were
wasn't it?
checking if the ether's real. They were checking if the ether's real, so their independent variable was what?
The ether.
Ether's an experimental framework. You prove every part of an experimental framework directly.
No, Lemon, we're talking about real science now, please.
Science works off a similar.
No, I said
similar
real
framework
science,
system.
not word salad science.
Not directly test what the framework that they're part of. Sometimes they just accept the framework as being valid and test within that framework without testing the framework directly.
Right, so that you're just making stuff up.
Hey,
The only way
Lemon, what was
experimental
the
framework
independent
is to test
variable
it indirectly.
in
The independent
Michelson
variable
Morley?
for what?
Michelson Morley.
Michelson Morley accepted the framework in which the ether existed and light was going slower against it. The independent variable was the direction of the light beam in the interferometer and seeing if it basically slowed this way or that way and basically made interference patterns on the photographic plate.
There you go,
Based off of the direction of the Earth through the space, or what they called the ether back then, you would get a different interference pattern, which would give you an indirect way to get the speed of the Earth through the ether. They got 5 to 8 kilometers. They needed something like 30 kilometers a second to go with the notion of the Earth moving through space 66,000 miles an hour, which translates to roughly 30 kilometers a second.
Okay, so their hypothesis was that the ether exists.
No, the
They
hypothesis was as
assumed.
they go through space, there would be an interference pattern in the interferometer from the Earth moving like forward 30 second with the light going forward 30 kilometers per second, while whereas the Earth goes the Earth would go forward 30 kilometers per second, while light would go like 3 times 10 to the 6 kilometers per second or something like that. 3 times 10 to the fifth, 3 times 10 to the 6 kilometers per second, something like 30,000 kilometers per second. And this would be read out as an interference fringe on the interferometer.
They assumed that ether existed, and then the independent variable was the patterns of the light.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So the experimental framework, the ether, was not being directly tested. It was assumed, and they were working indirectly within that framework.
They didn't even actually manipulate anything. They just observed
They manipulated the
patterns.
direction and the turnstile of the table. They'd shine the light and turn the turnstile of the table, and the light would go in different directions. They figured that if the ether is going this way, it would slow down the light, and that's why they were getting interference patterns on the photographic plate or whatever.
Correct. If it was going against the ether wind, it would go slower than in the other direction. So the ether basically is something of which matter travels through.
Normally, we gauge movement when we're moving against the medium. When we're moving in the car, we can tell we're moving in the car because we can put out our hand and feel the wind against the hand.
Exactly.
The Earth would be going against the ether wind, which would give it a medium to move through to prove movement. When it went against Copernicanism, which with much slower ether speeds than they thought that Copernicanism would say, 30 kilometers per second in particular, they just junked the ether when they were getting like 5 to 8 kilometers per second or something slower. So they just destroyed the framework by which they would be able to tell movement and just said, because of relativity, you can be moving, I can be moving, who can tell?
Exactly. That's where Einstein came in and said, oh, well, wait a minute, everything is relative. Yep.
So you can't directly test, a framework. You indirectly test a framework by, accepting it and then working within it to try to do, proofs and, experiments and stuff.
And the funny thing is now they're bringing back the ether in the form of quantum foam and so on and so forth.
Pretty much they're bringing it back in essence. So how can you tell if you're moving if you're not moving against a medium? If you're moving against a vacuum, which gives no resistance, how can you tell if you're moving
eating chips?
Yeah, they came up with a solution for that, cosmic background radiation.
And that's just what builds dishonesty. When they don't like the conclusion, they just destroy the framework and destroy the mind with relativity and other.
Exactly.
Lemon, I have a question. Why do you have an issue with space-time but no issue with the ether?
Space-time stole from the ether. They knew that space had to be a substance logically for it to exist. And rather than admit that in the philosophy back the ether, they just acted like they were abandoning it, but brought it back in anyway. Very dishonest.
Can mass bend ether or displace ether?
People have different theories about it. Basically, people say that space is a substance flowing around and through matter. Some people say you can get matter from the ether. Basically, matter is crystallized energy from, space, ether, whatever.
But it is. But
So we could have.
Is one of the most confirmed, tested scientific theories, and basically, forgive the word, proven to be a thing.
Directly or indirectly? Is it accepted because they have space-time in a jar? Or is it a proof that they feel comfortable working in because it offers a decent enough explanation? Or both?
Either way, ether has been disproven.
Yet they came back to it in essence with quantum foam, quantum fluid, 0-point energy, fields everywhere, space-time. All of this stuff appears to make space some sort of a substance.
So how does quantum foam relate? How does that relate to the speed of light?
Makes space a solid substance, basically. All these concepts appear to be similar in essence, making space a solid substance.
In order for quantum mechanics to work, things have to spontaneously come in and out of existence. So each theory comes up with another theory, which comes up with another theory. So they brought back quantum foam.
And progress happened.
Well, you can look at it as progress, or you can look at it as making shit up. It all depends.
Well, I mean, if it's not legitimate, it won't pass muster. It doesn't come in to the community as a scientific.
Right, but how can you justify something popping in and out of existence?
You know, that I have no idea. I know that occurs. Something about. Well, I mean, I'm not as I can't even come close to claiming any knowledge of that because I'm not a scientist. But I mean, I've heard of that. Something about in a vacuum, two metal plates very close together, and something happened. That's all I know about that.
Yeah, that's something else. I forgot what it was called. Is it the Casimir effect, or that's something else? But we're talking about things like literally coming out of nowhere, popping in and out of existence. Like they make stuff up, bro. It's as simple as that.
Well, that's
like
what
if you look at those particle accelerators, how they smash things together and how they came up with these particles. Quartz, anti-quartz, up, down, left, spin, right. I mean, if you look gluon, muons, if you look at these things, bro, it's sheer fantasy.
No, I disagree with that.
Okay. You got massless particles coming out of existence, and then attaining mass, and then losing mass, and wow.
Can I get some quantum foam in my coffee, please?
Yes, sir.
Call it quantum.
Not all this stuff is empirically proven by being put in a jar. Some of it are experimental frameworks, just so stories to give some sort of explanation to tie together what's going on. So at that point, just check the explanation for consistency.
You know, these particle accelerators, guys, that they make big fuss about, and they spend billions of dollars making. You know how these things work? What they do is they take two particles, they accelerate them, and they smash them, and they have magnets on either side, and it's in some sort of gas, right? I'm telling you, the more you learn about this, the more you blow your mind. So they smash things together, and they see on a computer screen these squirrely things, and one squirrels to the left is a negative, one squirrels to the right is a proton, and one squirrels this way, one squirrels. It's like insanity, bro. There's no way to prove this.
Well, there's the thing right there, and I question a lot of the same things that you guys question, but because I'm ignorant about that stuff. I don't know about it, so I can't say that it doesn't exist because I don't know that it doesn't exist. But still, too, I do question it, and I want to know more about it, but I just never do take the time to really sit down and study this stuff to understand what they're talking about.
Left Lane, do yourself a favor. Just YouTube the particle accelerator and just check out how they do it, like what the actual mechanisms of how they find this stuff is. And bro, you're going to blow your mind. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, I have looked at that stuff, and I've seen the swirls and the patterns and their consistency, and how they can predict how things are going to go when they do collision stuff, and it's way beyond my understanding. I haven't studied quantum physics and all that, so I really don't understand what exactly is going on. But it's something happening.
Okay, let me explain it to you. It's like taking two Rolex watches, right? Putting them in a cannon, okay? And smashing them together at a high speed. And having magnets on either side. And now you're gonna see this gear go that way, that gear go this way. And you're gonna start naming the gears now. This is the up gear, this is the left gear. And then you're gonna figure out how a watch is made from that. That's ridiculous, bro.
Well, they're doing it with atoms, though, not watches.
You know, I'm like breaking it down to almost a ridiculous level, but look into it. Just look into it. Gluons, muons, protons, electrons, and see how they came about these things. And you're going to see they came up with formulas, and then they saw, wait a minute, this doesn't work. The electron orbits not in a certain, okay, well, wait a minute, then we need like a proton. We've got to make it like massless, and we've got to make it neutral, and just look into it, bro. It's one bull put on top of another bull.
Yeah.
And if you could understand it, please come and explain it to me.
Okay. That probably is not going to happen. I'm 58, and now I just, I'm out of the realm of education. I won't into the depth of it, be able to explain it, because I won't ever understand it on that level.
I don't pretend to be on that level either, but like I've looked into some of this stuff, and when like we think, okay, they know the answers and because of A, B, C, and D reason, right? But when you look into it, you're going to see that, wait a minute, they make a calculation, they assume things are going to be like that, and then when they find out that it's wrong, they don't fix they don't say, oh, we're wrong. They just add stuff in, like dark matter, dark energy, dark fluid, stuff like that.
Dark matter, like dark matter, I do understand that they make observations way out there that the dark matter is like a placeholder for things that they know are there but can't see. And
why do you think they know they're there and they can't see? Is it because they saw something and
it's influencing the things around it? It's like, and I know I'm gonna probably I don't say piss anybody off, but talk about things that I'll believe in or whatever. In observing the center of our galaxy, they can see stars orbiting something in the middle, but they can't see what it is. And that's what they call a black hole.
Yeah, well, yeah, I see what you're saying. But on the dark matter stuff, they figured that gravity worked a certain way, right? They did calculations and they figured, okay, the spiral arms of the galaxies should be moving at a different speed with the respect of the center, right? And then when they did the test, they figured, wait a minute, these things are going way faster. Something's wrong here. So instead of saying, well, look, we had Newton, now we have Einsteinian, gravity doesn't work, we have to come up with a new explanation. What did they do? They kept the theory, but they added dark matter in a formula to conform with the observation. Now, that's not science, bro. That's backward engineering.
Well, it appears a lot of this came from the declaration that, basically everything is either matter or energy. And with E equaling mc squared, they made another declaration saying that by this math formula, whatever you find in this equation, mass-wise and or energy-wise, it needs to equal out. So whatever energy you find in this experiment, it better equal the amount of mass that you have times the speed of light. If there's something missing, like the matter in the universe that's spinning this fast or whatever, you better make up something to make these equations match. And so at that point, it's, bookkeeping and accounting. But I suspect that's what they did, but I'd have to, be in their lab and see how they account for this stuff.
Well, you said it perfectly, Lemon. That's exactly what they did, bro. Just like with the Michelson-Morley experiment with the ether, they did the same thing with gravity. They never admit they're wrong. Never.
It's a good accounting trick, but, is this really what we're saying? I mean, is this any more than a framework? I mean, does this have real validity?
But don't they say dark matter is like 95% of everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
to top it all off. Yeah, exactly.
So out of everything, 95% is like nothing. All right. So we're making guesstimations on not knowing 95% of something.
You got it, bro.
And taking that as gospel. Not knowing 95% of something and being able to make all these these statements and these theories as fact. Doesn't seem very scientific at all.
Not at all.
Already
And we're
defined
the
the
crazy
framework
ones.
philosophically. They said it's either matter or energy. That's it. So if you're missing something, you need to put in some matter and or you need to put in some energy. You're probably going to go with energy if it's unseen. So they've already defined the philosophical framework that they're working in. Whether it's fully proven, okay, that's another matter.
They're already telling us, look, we don't know 95% of what's out there. But we're almost sure we know the 5%. And everybody's saying, yeah, that's right, Einstein. He the man. No, my friend.
So even if you replace that 95% of nothing with some form of energy, what form of energy are you replacing it with?
Dark.
That's
energy.
95% of a lot of, like, exactly. Like, what level do you have to be on to accept this?
Well, these scientists are getting praised because they're giving theoretical frameworks that people can work with and be like, okay, now it kind of makes sense. We can go forward. Because people need to have some sort of framework to just, go forward to halfway make sense out of the thing. And so they're getting praised for giving them, a just so framework or a just so story to work with.
The story can be so lame because 95% of everyone don't really care at the end of that day. They only want their flat screen TVs. That's all they care about.
Yeah, nobody talks about this stuff. Nobody cares about this stuff.
No. How's the
I have a
weather?
friend of mine.
What's the footy score? How's your lawn looking? They're the conversations. How much did this cost? Gee, I had to work this so long. That's what people's worlds are like generally.
And you think about technology. When I graduated in 1980 in high school, cell phones, portable phones, things like that were sort of like coming into idea. That like Bob Keast, I remember he had a satellite phone, and this was before cell phones. And I thought, well, that's the damn thing, and he could call people from his truck. And
it's like space age, isn't it? Howard?
Yeah,
it's
and
it's crazy.
Look what we're doing, Bandy, and talking to people in fucking Australia in my big truck going down the road on my cell phone.
It's crazy, ain't it? It's crazy, Howard.
The tech is amazing, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, what's next?
The tech boys and the doctors, they have my utmost respect, let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
That's real stuff, unlike these dreamers of space,
What's next? Neurological implants. That's what's next, Howard.
We could get a like a thumb drive and plug into our neck, and it would have the whatever.
What's his name has the design already?
Who, Muskie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He did a lecture on it.
I know.
The designs are in, boys. You can plug in soon.
They're putting him in monkeys.
What does he call it? Neuro something?
Neurotech,
Neuronet.
Neuronet, yeah. But that's what's next. It's coming after mandatory vaccines.
It's going to be integrated with the nanobots.
Maybe. Who knows?
That's why they have the 5G to control the nanobots.
See, these
and
vaccines,
of course, I'm just kidding, guys.
They'll have a level of mandate, but that's been in place for a long time. Since I had to get my smallpox. You know, I had to get vaccinated before they would let me go to. You know, that situation's been in place for a long time. New level of it. Yeah. Did I drop? Drop.
Anyways, I'm gonna take off, guys. Getting late over here. Stuff to do tomorrow. Nice talking with everybody.
All right, man. Have a safe and happy festive season.
Yes, same with everybody. I'm sure we'll talk before that.
Yeah. All right.
Later, guys.
Catch.
Ed. Ed.
Hey, what's up?
Why are you ignoring what George said?
What did he say?
You know what he said.
No,
He said you do not and cannot manipulate something that is not real in the sense that it does not exist. What a stupid question, dumbass.
How the fuck would you manipulate something? Oh my god,
He
Ed,
said,
you are ridiculous.
He said, why do FEs ask such ridiculous questions? Ooh, that burns. What do you think about that, Ed?
Yeah. Why do flat earthers ask ridiculous questions? Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, playing dumb now. I got it. He couldn't come in VC. I asked him to come in here and set you straight, but guess he had to go take a bath.
This thing.
No, you don't. You can manipulate anything you like.
The independent variable, the presumed cause.
But there's nothing stopping me from manipulating what I like.
But if you don't know if it's real or not, how are you going to manipulate it?
Because I can manipulate other things and find out what happens. That's what I'm doing.
No, you have to manipulate the. No, you have to manipulate the independent variable.
I can manipulate whatever I like. That's what I'm doing the experiments for.
You're a science denier.
To see what's real or not.
You're a science denier.
No, I'm actually trying to find out what's real or not.
You're
or
a
at least
science denier.
scientists are. I'm not really.
You don't know how science works, and you're denying it.
No,
at the same
I
time.
actually do know how science works. We can go over it again if you like.
You obviously don't know how science works because
Yeah,
you think
so
you're
I
about
actually
to.
do. So.
You think you're going to manipulate something that if you
No,
don't
I
even know
said
if it's
you're
real.
going to do experiments to find out what's real or not.
Okay, can you give me one example where they systematically manipulated something that they didn't know if it was real or not?
That's why you do experiments to find out if it's real or not.
Okay, well, give me one then. It should be easy.
Well, stuff that wasn't known to humanity before.
Okay, give me one time.
And you give me one time when humans didn't know about stuff.
One time where they give me one time where they systematically manipulated an independent variable when they didn't know if the independent variable was even real or not. Should be easy, right? They do it all the time.
That's why you do experiments to find out what's real.
Sure. So give me one time where this happened.
Tell you one time where they did experiments to find out what's real.
Give me one time where they systematically manipulated an independent variable and they didn't know if it was real or not.
Yeah, that's why you do experiments to find out if it's real.
So give me one time.
One time where they did experiments to check if things are real.
One time where they systematically manipulated the independent variable to continue on with the experiment. And they didn't know the independent variable was real or not. Go ahead, give me one time.
That's why you do the experiments, you fucking moron. Holy shit, this is incredible. Jeremy,
Really,
are you serious?
really,
are you for real?
Really wrong with you.
Are you a
I'm
real?
asking the same
are you a real person?
I'm asking the same thing about you, bro. Because this
Am I
seems too
talking to a
retarded.
chatbot with pre-recorded messages, or are you a real person? Please verify. Please click on the checkbox to verify you're not a robot. I'm highly suspicious at this point.
So you can't give me one time where they.
I should say you're highly suspicious.
So you can't give me one time where they systematically manipulated an independent variable where they didn't know if the independent variable was real or not? Can you give me one time or no? Don't laugh like a retard. Give me one time.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it out. That's why they do. That's why they do the experiments to see if it's real or not. You idiots!
It's not. No, you're wrong. You're an idiot.
I'm a little confused myself. Are you saying to see if the effect is real, or if the thing that you're manipulating?
To see if the thing they put in the hypothesis is actually reality or not.
No, you make left lane. Hold on a second. Let me explain it.
Talking about the effect.
Left lane. Let me explain it to you real quick. We're about to do some science, right? We get a natural observed phenomena. We now have an effect. Now we're trying to find out the cause of the effect. So we're going to have to make a presumed cause because we don't know what it is yet. That's why we're doing this, to figure out what the cause is. So we make a presumed cause. That presumed cause is going to be called your independent variable. Now the next stage is we're going to go do an experiment. In the experiment, we're going to have to systematically manipulate this independent variable, right? You with me so far?
Yeah, I understand science. I've got a filing cabinet full of work.
What'd you say?
I understand science. I've done my share of it. Yes.
Okay,
not professional, just educated.
Yeah, that's fine. So you realize that your independent variable that you're going to systematically manipulate is going to have to be a real thing, right? Because if it's not real, how would you manipulate it?
Well, like temperature, water boils at 212 degrees. Heat would have to be a thing, right?
Yeah, heat's got to be a thing because you're going to have to systematically manipulate the heat to figure out how if it's causing the water to boil or not, right?
It's not the only reason water boils, and before they knew that, they had to do experiments to find out what the other things are.
So left lane, you sound more reasonable. You do realize that the independent variable needs to be a real thing, right?
Well, it would have to be something for you to manipulate.
Yeah, so we would need to know if it's real, right? Obviously, that's
why you do the experiments to know if it's real.
Does that go without saying? Left Lane, does that go without saying that we would need to know that it's real?
Well, I would say that it being the experiment, I would be testing to see what I'm doing is causing the effect.
Yeah, but Left Lane, that's the problem. He's just sticking to one experiment. And if you really want to find out how stuff works, do you just do one experiment?
Well, no, you've got multiple variables. They you would have to hold some control variables constant and manipulate one thing, and then another experiment would hold that thing constant.
Exactly.
Manipulate something else.
Right, but we're still on the first experiment though, Left
No,
Lane.
we're doing multiple experiments to figure out how the fuck stuff works.
Okay, so Left Lane, do you agree or disagree? This is a closed question. Do you agree or disagree that your independent variable needs to be something real that you can manipulate?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. It's obvious. I mean, you hear that, Ed? You fucking mong.
Irrelevant.
Not irrelevant. That was the whole argument.
It's highly irrelevant.
You're fucking dumb, bro. Are you a troll or what's going on?
No, I'm actually thinking you're the troll here.
No, why? Left Lane agrees with me. The independent variable needs to be real because we're going to have to manipulate it.
But that doesn't mean you can't do experiments to figure out if stuff is real or not, because that's why you do fucking experiments, you idiot.
What? We were talking about the independent variable the whole time.
No, we were talking about the scientific method that you proposed.
And you were trying to explain to me.
And you told me that you need to know if the thing in your hypothesis is real before you do the experiment, which is fucking retarded.
The independent variable, yes, you need to know that that's a real thing. Of course.
Oh my god.
Ed just agreed with me. You need to know that that is a real thing because you're going to go on to the experiment and manipulate it. How can you manipulate something if you don't know if it's real?
That's why you do experiments to find out if things are real.
You can't do an experiment without manipulating the independent variable that you don't know if it's real or not. You're a fucking retard. You're really retarded. You're either trolling or a retard. I can't figure out which one. Are you a troll or a retard, Ed?
Jeremy,
do you even know?
You're amazing.
Do you know if you're dumb or trolling?
No, you're actually amazing.
Left Lane. Do you understand what's going on here?
I feel like there's a disconnect.
Yeah, where would the disconnect? Where do you think the disconnect's happening at? On my end or Ed's end?
Well, what I'm interpreting Ed to say is a little to me that, I mean, in order for you to conduct an experiment, a cause and effect experiment, to me, there's all kinds of experiments, but to do a cause and effect, then, you're checking to see that what you're manipulating has the effect, and.
But you're definitely gonna. But you're definitely gonna.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm having trouble understanding how you manipulate something that not there.
If you don't know if it's real or not, right? Yeah. How would you manipulate something if you don't know if it's real or not? He's saying we're going to do the experiment, but in the experiment, you're going to need to manipulate the thing that you don't know if it's real or not. I don't know. The disconnect's totally with him, not with me. I don't understand.
I would need to come up with some examples. And, it's just, and I've always felt this way, even in, where we're kind of brainstorming, coming up with stuff to do in lab and things. And I find it difficult to come up with experiment out of the blue. Most of the stuff is prescribed in your lab book, but.
Yeah, but I mean, it's common sense, dude. If you're gonna manipulate something, you got to know if it's real or not. Obvious. How are you gonna manipulate something if you don't even know if it's real? That's crazy talk.
The variables we've always had are pretty much given, so getting outside my level a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. But How would you? If somebody claimed that you could manipulate a variable that you didn't know was real, wouldn't you need an example at least? One example to say, look, this is how you manipulate something if you don't know if it's real or not.
Or maybe you have it wrong. Could that be it? Or maybe the whole science is on his side, Jeremy, and on your side is Nathan Oakley and a couple retards.
And George.
Tony, why don't you?
George too.
Why don't you
forget
give
about
me an
him.
example?
He's on our side.
Tony, why don't you give me an example of how you manipulate something?
Every single science experiment ever done properly.
Huh?
Manipulates an independent variable, and they don't know if it's real or not.
If they have to in that experiment.
Why is your mic, bro? Why is your mic so loud?
God damn it!
It's so loud.
Oh my
You're
bad.
Screaming at me.
Sounds like you're using a walkie-talkie.
Sometimes I think I have to yell. Sometimes I don't. My phone sucks.
All right, just stop talking, please.
Hey, fuck you!
Is that one of those little G.I. Joe walkie-talkies they're using, Tony?
Check 1, 2.
Yeah, Tony, you always sound like you're talking to us from the moon.
I have such good things to say too. I have such good things to say.
Tony, why don't you give me one example then of a time where they manipulated?
I can give you one example, actually. When they didn't know what magnets were, and there were like magnetic rocks, and they might have thought it's some sort of magic, and they're doing theories and tests and experiments to figure out if it's actually real magic or if it's something else.
That's a stupid example.
No, that's actually a perfect example.
They knew magnets were real. They knew that they had something in their hand, didn't they? Or was it like covered in a box? Tony, I almost said Tony. No, Toy Brandon. They didn't know magnets were real. They knew some rocks stick to metal or are attracted to it. So they had some rocks that were real.
Right. So they had some rocks, but they didn't know if it was magic or something. So they might have thought, well, this might have been some voodoo thing or from the gods or whatever you might have think of. And then they test to see if it's based in reality or not. And before they did the experiments, find all those shit out, they didn't know anything.
But they knew they had a rock.
Exactly.
I don't know.
What
How
was
the fuck
this
did they
experiment?
figure out magnets? I don't know.
What was this? Why don't you write the experiment down in general chat? Give us the observed phenomena, the hypothesis.
Why should I figure out how the fuck they figured out magnets?
This is your example.
No, this is your example. That's perfectly valid, where they didn't know shit about magnets and did experiments to figure out if what they thought was based in reality or not. You're debunked, Jeremy.
Because in reality, because in reality, everything was not known first and had to be found out what it was. Everything on this earth at one point was not known and then investigated and found out what it was. Are you guys denying that?
And how long are you going to keep this up instead of just conceding?
I don't have to concede anything. There's nothing to concede.
I know, God, you guys sound so crazy. It's like all of science and then like 14, 15 people, and you guys all think you're smarter than all scientists in the world that have done this their whole life.
Right, and they haven't done any experiments.
I love you
they
guys,
haven't produced anything. Isn't that amazing? Yet they know everything.
Why are you guys obfuscating now?
No, why are you not doing anything? You're not producing anything. You're not doing any experiments. You're not giving any measurements, any tests, nothing. You're just sitting there denying science.
No, I do. I
No,
do test
exactly. Brandon's giving a show. Like, I'll give it this much to Brandon. Brandon's giving a show at least. We can come on here and talk shit.
It's a talk show, like Nathan Oakley. Come on, man.
Yeah, everyone else on
Not
here is doing
science.
shit.
I mean, I appreciate a good show. Not shitting on you for making a show. Do whatever the fuck you want. But it has nothing to do with science. It's not producing anything. It's just flat earthers agreeing with each other.
No, we do actually do stuff, like experiments and observations.
Oh, really?
and
Show
stuff.
one experiment you guys did.
Okay.
Please.
All right, hold on.
I just want to know. Why don't you just tell me how you manipulate something?
Yeah,
if you don't
Jeremy,
know if
we've
it's
been
real or
over
not?
that.
You don't, because you can't do it.
We've been over that. You're wrong.
You can't manipulate something
No,
if you don't even know if it's
Jeremy,
real or not.
we're done
Your
with that.
example failed.
Jeremy, we're done.
Your example failed
No,
because
that actually
they
was
had
the
a
perfect
rock,
example.
so they knew it was real.
Yeah, that's the perfect example. Yeah, right. But they didn't know the effects, if what they thought the effects came from, if that was real.
They
or
knew
not.
it came from the rock, didn't they?
No, but they didn't really.
Well,
not
you
really.
said they had a rock and it
could
was
have
sticking
been,
to stuff.
Yeah, but it could have been anything. Could have been some witch. Could have been magic. Could have been God.
Did they know that they could manipulate it and use it in an MRI machine the very first time they touched the rock?
No.
So they had to investigate it and find out, hey, we can use this magnet, this thing called a magnet, to get images, or we can use this to pick up heavy things, cars, and put them in crushers. They didn't know that when they first touched that rock. It's not like all that shit imparted into their brain, like, oh my god, we can do all this shit. They had to investigate it.
They still had a rock, which is real. They knew it was the cause of the
but
sticking.
They didn't
know
if
why.
the reason for the effect was real. What they thought the effect was.
No, they knew the effect was real. They didn't know why.
But they didn't know the reason of the effect.
But
and
they
if
knew
what
it
they
was
thought
real.
of the effect, if it was real or not. So their hypothesis was not based on reality. That's why they did the experiments to figure it out.
So you think now we know the cause of magnetism?
You didn't even say that.
What are you saying? What are you saying then with the magnets then?
Oh, man, Jeremy, I expect a lot from you, buddy. Come on.
Oh, you guys are red herring and obfuscating.
No, you're
really
just doing it
hardcore.
on purpose. And Brandon,
It's not worth going any further. It's not worth going any further. You guys aren't getting it.
I can't believe you guys are even arguing.
No, they're
this.
getting
Tony,
it.
you should. Tony, you should know
they're
better
getting
than
it perfectly, Tony. That's why they're telling us we're trolling and
Tony,
we're
you spent time at
obfuscating.
Gems. You should know better than this, Tony.
They've got nothing. That's why they're
I
attacking
know
us.
that you don't understand what the scientific method is. I know that. And I know you're listening to Nathan Oakley, and you shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's really showing.
This all started for Nathan Oakley. I've been with Nathan Oakley since the beginning. This all started with Nathan Oakley, this whole scientific experiment thing. 100%. This was not in Flat Earth until he brought it up with Anthony. That one show. I can go back to the show it happened.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, by
no,
the
you
way,
can't.
Tony, I don't know if you missed it, but we applied this scientific method of Jeremy to their flat Earth IDs, and the dome has been debunked. The Earth is not stationary because it can't manipulate it. The Earth is not flat because you can't manipulate the Earth. So we're done here.
The shape of the Earth is a what is question. It doesn't even fall under. It doesn't even fall under. Ed, I was talking.
Yeah,
Ed,
so not science.
Ed,
no
I was in the
evidence
middle.
for it.
I was in the middle of talking. Am I
Yeah, but there's no evidence for it. You can't manipulate the horizon either, so you don't know what's going on there. It's hilarious.
You know,
God dang it.
What happened?
Oh, that was, I thought I dropped. I keep dropping right in the middle of stuff.
Oh, no, that wasn't you.
All right, I'm gonna go for the night anyways. If you recorded this, that's some good fucking material you got from Ed just now.
I did.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ed is
when
ready
you
to claim
release it,
victory.
Brandon.
That's the funniest part.
Tag me in the chat when you put it out. I want to watch it.
All right.
It's going to be fucking hilarious.
It will be pretty funny.
It is gonna be hilarious when people hear that you can manipulate something if you don't even know if it's real or not. It's gonna be a fucking.
It's in your hand. It's in your hand.
It's definitely
real.
Yeah, if you don't know it's real or not, then you might be manipulating it without knowing it. So.
Or you might be like psychotic in the brain and having hallucinations or something.
Right.
I mean, of course the thing is real that you're investigating or that you're doing an experiment. Of course it's real, but maybe you don't know what it is yet. How are you going to find out what it is? How do you guys find out your world?
The independent variable has got to be real, not the. What are you talking about?
You have to know what it is that you're investigating, that you're doing an experiment on. You have to know what it is.
You have to know the effect.
It's not an experiment because you've already done the experiment to find out what it is.
No, you have to know the effect. You have to know the effect. You're doing the experiment. You're doing the experiment
I've been
to find
asking
the
the
cause.
same thing for over an hour. Just
you feel early. Oh, you have? Okay, my bad.
You're doing. You know the effect. We have an effect. Now we're going to do an experiment
He's
to try
still
to
stuck
find
on
out
this.
the cause.
Jeremy is still stuck on doing just one experiment and knowing everything from that one experiment. And even though you just do that one experiment, you're already supposed to know everything beforehand.
That's a straw man.
Make an MRI.
Straw man.
It's picking up
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not.
That's literally what you said, Jeremy.
It's not. No, I never said that.
That is literally not what he said.
What did he say then? It
said-
sounded like it.
Good luck with these guys, Brandon. I gotta go.
I gotta go too. These guys could go all night. I gotta go.
Boy, Ed, I'm glad I was here at the end. I just want to pop in. I